A happy new year to all you lovely cricket people out there and non-cricket people as well. We at cricket.com are going to be back with watchalongs, and what better way to start with two of the finest that CDC have to offer right now on this Tuesday evening. Somesh Agarwal and Avni Sheikh. We can't get cockier to begin 2023. Som, how are we? How are you? I've missed you, man.
We should rather say two of those who are only available.
Look, I was just trying to flatter us early on, but how have you been?
I'm all well, all well.
Yeah.
Happy New Year to you too and everyone who's joined us.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
The Hardik era.
T20 games in a year of a ODI World Cup and a WTC final. But yeah.
And it's ridiculous because the teams have been out. India, of course, losing the toss, but Hardik wasn't disappointed while batting first. So Sri Lanka going to be bowling. Join us, tell a friend, and this is going to be an interactive space. If you guys are watching us for the first time, where have you been? Because watch-alongs have been a thing in 2022. We're going to carry on for 2023, hopefully 24 and 25. But that's me getting ahead of myself. Now, in 10 minutes' time, the two people who are going to be opening the batting for India is Ishan Kishan, who remember scored that 210 not too long ago, and a debutant, two debutants. So the first one being Shubman Gill, and the second one being Shivam Mavi. Two former KKR. I don't know if Venki Maestro made a call or two to Rahul Dravid, but talk to me about those changes, more so those debutants.
Two former KKR and now Gujarat Titan folks. So, I mean,
it's a thing.
I'm surprised with both, but Arshdeep wasn't available. So, I mean, at least there is some leeway there.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm surprised that Gill is included in the team ahead of someone like a Rahul Tripathi, who, in my opinion, is more of a natural T20 player. India could have probably had. The balls have
fallen, the new balls.
ऐसा क्या बोल दिया मैंने?
Oh my God, sorry. Go on. And it has like a prize on it, but yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, in my opinion, India could have very well opened with Huda and played Rahul Tripathi, which I feel...
But then what about Rituraj Gaikwad? He's just going to be doing...
Again, Rituraj Gaikwad, I feel, is more of the ODI mold, which applies to Gill as well.
Correct.
If you look at people, options on the bench, like I've kept saying all this while, I feel Tripathi is more of a T20 basher.
Correct.
Sort of a player and should have been selected ahead of Gill.
Yeah.
Mavi, again, I mean, good for him that he was in the squad.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still trying to figure out his...
inclusion.
His CV to land him here.
Yeah, fair. Has he been doing good things domestically?
Not really. I was looking, I mean... I did something.
Not earth-shattering, right? It's not like we've come up with something. Because we would have done a piece in Shivam Mavi if that was the case.
Yeah.
But he gets the nod. Umran Malik plays. Arshdeep drops out. And you mentioned a man there, Huda, Som. Was it a call-off between Huda and Sundar, essentially? Or no?
Yeah, I mean, but the point is, if they opted for Sundar instead of Huda, probably there wouldn't have been a lot of batting depth.
And Akshar's left.
And, I mean, yeah... That's perhaps the only reason. And since Hardik is back, there are a lot of bowling options anyway.
Correct. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see because Hardik's captain and that's prominent. Hopefully he does get the crack at the 2024 T20 World Cup and it builds up there. Again, it's ridiculous. It's debatable about the ICC FTP, Hardik charter in T20s in an ODI World Cup. There will be ODIs, of course, which follows these T20s, these three T20s. And if you guys have suddenly come out of holidays from New Year, don't worry, the cricket.com app is the best place to be because the first one comes from Mumbai, the first T20 that is. Then we move to Pune and then Rajkot before the ODIs consumed. We're going to be doing watch-alongs for all of those, by the way. And the first ball will be bowled soon. What I also want to ask Som is the fact that Sanju Samson has got the nod and we love him. Not because we have a lot of Kerala fans on this platform as well, but generally, how happy are you with him getting 4?
Pretty happy, but I mean, from his perspective, I think he need to get big runs. But the point is, I'm sort of looking forward to where he bats.
Yeah,
there are only two options, either 5 or 6. But there's a difference if Hardik comes ahead of him, and what we've seen of
I don't know what's happening, guys. We're not even planning this, honestly. And all you 16 people watching love it. Keep going and we'll try to fix it out as much as we can.
Don't worry. Let be.
Oh my God, another one. Okay, this is mine.
Yeah, so, I mean, if Hardik bats at 5, these days he has been more of an anchor.
Anchor finisher.
But anchor is not someone who should bat at 5. So I want to see a much more, carefree Hardik and probably bat at 6. And then be that finisher because I think his pace game against hard lines has gone down a notch in recent times. But still, I feel he has the wherewithal to be India's finisher come
But
later
today
stages.
in this batting lineup, I'm just thinking about it. Do you think he'll have to play that role that you're mentioning because he has someone like Sky and Sanju who don't bat with the handbrake on?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, you don't have to have anyone because then you have Shubman Gill anyway, who would be sort of an anchor.
Yeah.
Shubman Gill will never be a basher.
Correct.
I mean, one of the positives of Shubman Gill in this particular game is he's good against spin.
Correct.
You need someone to dominate Thiksena and Hasaranga, which Gill on his day, especially in white ball, can easily do. So,
but do you think from word go he can do that? Because they're going to start off with spin, I'm sure. They have done that in T20s.
I mean, from word go, he doesn't have to hit 4 6s in an over, but at least he can
pick and choose.
In the power play, he can get his shots going because we know Kishan is going to throw the kitchen sink at everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's
how he plays.
Well.
Yeah.
What about the bowling depth today? Are you happy?
Lot of options.
We're going to be defending.
Lot of options. Chahal. I mean, it's a very, very important series for Chahal. Harshal, Chahal, all of them. Umran is still, I mean, he's still very young, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you are Yuzvendra Chahal at the moment, you were not in one of the T20 World Cup squads. You were in one of them, but didn't play.
Correct.
And now, I don't know. I mean, at the moment, looking at the ODI World Cup, it's between him and Kuldeep.
Yeah.
With the way things look, and Kuldeep, whenever he's getting opportunities, he's delivering.
Correct.
So, again, big year for Yuzvendra Chahal. He's not really young, right? So, from that perspective, I feel this series is going to be very important for Chahal and
stat which looms large, right? So like the fact that Yuzi Chahal has been, I think, our top wicket taker in T20 internationals, but yet he's not played a single World Cup.
Yeah, I mean that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about this in our previous watchalongs. At times, let us come down to the fact that he's not very handy with the bat.
Yeah, and it comes down to that. And no matter even if the West
and he's not a live wire in the field either.
So
he has to. And obviously, I mean, the main problem with him has been the lack of defensive bowling options. He always goes for the kill, but at times you
need a bowler.
You need bowlers who have the skills to be a little defensive as well.
Yeah.
Because wicket taking is important, but not always. I mean,
it's food for thought, really. By the way, let us know if you agree with all the things that we're saying, because we generally like having conversations about cricket. Sometimes he gets pelters, sometimes he gets praised.
We are the only one who are speaking here right now, so we have to keep on speaking. But
no, it's not that. We actually honestly love interacting with you. We'll take the first one of the day. Why is Washi not playing? This is total injustice. And there's better to do that, Chichan.
I think the only place where they could have played Washi
is Akshar.
Is not Akshar. I think Chahal.
Okay,
honestly.
Chahal. Okay.
But I mean, I don't know if Hooda balls, then maybe. If Hooda doesn't bowl, then it will be very surprising. Because Sri Lanka have a lot of lefties.
Yeah.
So let's see. I mean, I would have picked a very different 11, to be honest.
Correct. As in, because look, the guys on the bench, you mentioned Tripathi.
Yeah.
There's of course Arshdeep. There's Mukesh, who's an unknown identity in international cricket.
Yeah, I mean,
and then there's Rahul Tripathi. Tripathi.
I actually thought about this, and if I would have thought about the 11 from scratch, I've written it down, so that I don't make a mistake.
Was Gaikwad featuring?
No.
So you also would have given Gill his debut?
No, not really. I would have opened with Kishan and Hooda, and one down would be Rahul Tripathi.
Is Hooda even open for India?
He scored that century. He was opening, I guess.
He was batting one down.
As far as I remember, him and Sanju were opening, or no?
Oh, you may be right. Yeah, you might be right about that. Hello, guys. Good evening, Subodh. Good evening. Happy New Year, Subodh. Honestly, also let us know what you guys did on New Year's night. That's also a talking point today, because it'll always be fun and games to share our tales when we watch India go about their business. By the way, we've got a new shirt sponsor, Killer, in terms of, not CDC. That's a while away. That's a while away. In the IPL, Shubman Gill scored a strike rate of 123.4 in 2020 and 123.9 in 2021 as an opener on the power play.
In the power play, okay.
However, in the 2022 edition, he's had a strike rate of, wait for it, 118.1.
It has dropped down. But I think Gujarat Titans as a whole, they batted quite conservatively.
And he had players like Sahas, who's a power play merchant around him. I mean, if you have Saha with you, you're not going to go Gango as well, right?
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, it shouldn't really matter. I think power
go
play.
for it.
I mean, 118 is never justified,
Hmm.
but they won the title, so no one can
That is true.
complain.
Guys, we'll try to keep the scores as accurate and as updated as possible, but we'll give you running commentary as well. The first ball, Ishan Kishan taking guard, and it's surprise, it's not spin from Sri Lanka. It is Kasim Rajata with the new ball. And already India off the mark with 2 runs over there. So what are you predicting and what do you want to see? Because let's be fair, we want to see an attacking brand of cricket.
Yeah.
That's what we've been crying out for. 210, 220, light up the
200, at least 200.
At least 200. Because we technically have batting till 8. The only people who can't bat is Umrah Malik, Shivam Mavi and Chahal. Sorry, Mavi can bat. I mean,
let's see. People say that.
Some people
I've not seen
some
him.
people in UP will say that. The Noida man. Devans should take your comment, but Kishan facing his second ball. Oh, it's a good delivery.
His IPL strike rate is 95, I guess. So, I mean,
who's this? Mavi.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 95. Oh.
Strike rate. Average strike rate.
Devansh goes on to say, if our new look team is this week, then I don't have much confidence for the T20 World Cup. It's all about the youth and the chance that you give youngsters.
Too far off.
But still, like, look at this team. Tell me.
I think the batting attack is going to look pretty much the same. Maybe. I mean, if at all it happens, Shaw instead of Gill.
Shot. It's the first one of the evening, and he's I'm so sorry, and he's deposited that.
It's his home ground.
With ease. Yeah, it's his home ground in many ways. Honestly, Ishan Kishan's going to be loving this because, firstly, he loves playing, like Som said, at home, and plus that 210s at the back of his head, so he's in good form going into this one. Hopefully, we see
his home ground where he's not really played.
Yeah, not just the spinner. I like it, Subodhya. Killer. He will, Sharda. He will be joining us very shortly. It's his birthday on Friday as well, so we'll shower him with some love, early love, make it special for him, and all of that jazz. But if you're a new one, Sharda, we haven't seen you comment, or maybe I haven't, but subscribe and tell a friend, Sharda. We really appreciate all you guys getting up to 18.5. I think we're 3 away. So please subscribe if you haven't. Bottom right-hand corner.
Pickup.
What a pickup that is. Is that his
why do righties don't play a lot of pickup? I mean, I know KL Rahul does.
When he gets it right off his bat, but like, who else do you think picks up?
Even Sky does, but I mean, his pickup is slightly different.
Yeah, that is true.
But lefties play this. I mean, I remember Jayasurya doing it.
Oh, Jayasurya had a phenomenal pickup, bro. Yeah. He had a phenomenal pickup. I think even if you cast your mind back to Herschel Gibbs, just his onside play.
Say you guys are the selectors. What would be your India's 11? Pick whoever you want.
Whoever. That includes maybe people like Rahul Tewatia to Devdutt Padikkal. Basically, everyone under the Indian spectrum. Who's it going to be?
I will open with Shaw and Pant.
Okay. Love it already.
My 3...
And condolences, by the way. Sorry, and Rishabh Pant. Really, condolences.
I mean, get well soon.
From cricket.com's perspective, get well soon. He's here. The man who turns another year wise on Friday joins us right now. Gurkirat, Happy New Year to you, Paji. How are we this evening?
Quite good. Good to see you. And, before I joined in, I was just listening where you said that, all of us can talk about our New Year's Eve, and I was like, yeah, there's a reason why he's bringing it up, because of course no one can beat your stories of New Year's, given how hard you party usually.
Yeah, it was wild. It was as wild as this first over that we've seen right now from Ishan Kishan, to be fair. I'm quickly changing the topic and we'll come back to that. But sorry, Gurkirat, the fact that we were just asking Som about his 11 for the T20 World Cup. Again, we're looking ahead. Anyone you can want to pick really from the Indian lens, who will that be? We'll have your say, but let Som finish his. So he's gone for Shaw and Pant so far. And sorry, 1 second, Som. Again, I hate to interrupt you. 17 of the first over. It's just been a truly eventful one. 17. We have more people watching, which is always a great sign.
So these are the amount of runs we used to score in 3 overs in the World Cup.
Yeah, essentially. I was going to say in book cricket, but yeah, he's right. So Shaw and Pant. Who else?
So let me figure out my bowlers first.
Okay. There are a few no-brainers. Come on.
So Arshdeep Bumrah.
Correct.
For sure.
Correct. So this is... really strange.
Things are just falling apart.
Oh my god.
I would have Vishnu in the mix.
Okay.
Okay, so Shaw and Pant to open.
Okay.
3 can be either of Ishan Kishan or Tripathi.
Okay.
4 Sky.
Yeah.
5 Samson, 6 Hardik.
Okay.
7 either of Jadeja or Aksar, whoever is fit.
Okay.
8 is Arshal Patel or anyone who can ball and bat a bit.
Okay. Not Sundar.
Not Sundar.
Okay.
I mean, enough spinners already.
Okay.
9, 10, 11 remains Bishnoi, Arshdeep and Bumrah.
Okay, I like it. Gurkirat, what do you think?
Yeah, so I even today I wanted to have a 7 and 8 of Akshar and Sundar and Akshar, because even though they are finger spinners, they both turn the ball in different directions and it adds to the
Yeah.
batting. I do feel that Akshar is a number 7 with conditions applied. He's not a number 7 in all conditions and in all situations. So that is there. And then I have 3 fast bowlers in Arshdeep, Umran, and Bhuvi. Umran being used the way SRH uses him.
You said Bhuvi.
Bhuvi?
Oh, Bumrah.
I was like, 1 second, Gurkirat.
Yeah.
Come back.
So
Okay, Bumrah, no worries.
that's my bottom 5.
Yeah, Umran probably because of that middle over enforcer thing which is done well.
1
right?
second, sorry guys, is this Pakistan in disguise? Why are they starting with back-to-back pacers? Hello, what's happening? Sri Lanka? Where is Tiksana? Oh, it's a wide.
It-
It's a wide.
So that is the bottom 5. And then I'll have Samson at 6. I'll have Hardik at 5. Then I have to choose between top 4. Surya Kumar Yadav is the obvious choice over there. I'd like to see Shaw as well. And then for the other 2 remaining spots, I think there are a lot of options. I don't mind Pant being there, but I think he probably needs to work on his offside game a little bit, and he's not currently available. So I'd stick with Ishan Kishan. And then at number 3 for me, it's going to be between Hooda and Rahul Tripathi. Another option that we can look at apart from Ishan Kishan, but for that Samson has to keep, is Abhishek Sharma. Abhishek Sharma is one player who I have a lot of time for, and I hope that he continues where he left from in the last season. He had a 400 run season, and I think
there's one similar theme that both you and So have just mentioned right now. In your top 6, obviously you said Tripathi or Hooda. Is just one bowler that is Hardik, right? So that's not a big concern.
It's fine. I mean, like Gurpreet said, Abhishek Sharma is a really good option.
Correct.
And I mean, right now, even if you think about it, Prithvi Shaw is not confirmed. I mean, I still feel he needs a very good IPL season. He's just had one decent IPL season. Every IPL season, he's either.
But Shivam Mabi's on one good IPL season.
Let's not even go there. I mean, what is he doing in this squad is a question in
But
the
that's
first
also
place.
the big show, right?
But then, I mean, people must be seeing something in Shivam Mavi, right? Teams keep bidding crores on him. Now he's in the India squad and now in the India 11 itself. I mean, he must be doing something.
Something right. Or is there just...
I don't mind agreeing to the fact that maybe I am the only one who's ignorant. Others have some.
No, you have a point, soon. But just think about it. If you're sure, there's so many people you're competing your place with. Gaikwad, Kishan, makeshift openers.
No, that is what I'm saying. I want. So, next T20 World Cup would be after 2 IPLs.
Yeah.
So, I want him to have 2 back-to-back IPL seasons where he's at least scoring 400 runs in the season with his style.
Correct.
Not compromising on strike rate.
So with Shaw, if you look at it, like how Somesh mentioned, he's had one season where I think he was India selection worthy, which was in 2021. He had an average of 32 and a strike rate of 159. So even if he averages 30 and strikes at 150, 155, it's good enough. But what I think should be a minimum threshold is like his average can't go below 30. Or even if you want to, even want to take a little bit of it.
But the problem here with him is that his impact is there, but the selectors have never picked through impact, right? They've always picked through big runs, and that's the ultimate currency, which doesn't work for Shaw.
I think I've never felt that things have been unjust on Shaw, honestly speaking.
Okay.
I mean, it's we know his style. Yeah. Everyone likes his style. Everyone likes the kind of a player he is, fearless. But only being fearless won't win you games. Correct. There has to be some level of consistency, right? And asking for 400 asking for 400 run season is not a lot. I mean, if you think about it, 16 games में 400 run season is what you're averaging just 25.
Yeah, which
And उतना भी नहीं हो रहा है.
so basically, even if you compare him to a yesteryear player like Sehwag, who was fearless in the same mode,
Yeah.
he was at least giving you 500, 600
Yeah, and
these days
that
from
was a
time to
different
time.
era, right?
100%.
Sehwag was the only one. Right now, I don't think Shaw is the only one who can bat like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, Sehwag in 2012, not even when he was at the peak or the prime of his career, Sehwag in 2012 made a record of 5 consecutive 50s.
Yeah, correct.
So there's
Exactly.
that.
Right. So
Also, the other thing with Shaw is if you look closely at his performances in the Syed Mushtaq Ali or Vijay Hazare Trophy, a lot of his big runs and quick fire runs have come against teams who even the
Weaker side.
selectors and everyone know are not the heavyweights in the domestic circuit. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that runs against Assam should be discarded. Sometimes you also need to score against teams that aren't strong, because
Yeah.
then you end up like no one performed for South Africa versus Netherlands in the World T20, and that is why lost, right? They
Yeah.
lost. So those performances are there, but at the same time you need to perform against the bigger heavyweights. You need to perform against the likes of Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Saurashtra, Gujarat, or Karnataka or Tamil Nadu, to tell the selectors, okay, that I am not going to score runs only against weaker bowling attacks. I can score runs against better teams as well. And then if you last season he missed 5 or 6 games. Now you can that's a bit unfortunate, but he also doesn't help his own fitness standards as well. So I think
Correct.
he needs to have one season where he has a minimum average of 29-30, and if he averages that, I am not worried about the strike rate, because the more runs he scores, the more chance he will also have to improve his strike rate. So that is going to happen with him.
Yeah, and I obviously we have seen and heard comparison of Shaw and Sehwag a lot. There's a one big difference. Sehwag's game against spin was next level.
Yeah.
And I think with Shaw, I'm yet to see him actually thrive against quality spin.
On a consistent basis.
Yeah, with Shaw, what we've seen often is just him thrashing pacers, and then I mean just trying to hit spinners out, and in that process losing his wicket. I mean, even if you look,
Struggles against the googly.
yeah, if you go back to the Sri Lanka series where he scored that quick fire 50 or whatnot, gave India quick starts.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka actually got him out by bringing in introducing Hasaranga early.
Yeah.
So, and with Sehwag, I mean, he was the only one who was just thrashing Ajanta Mendes left, right, and center.
Sehwag was a different beast.
Yeah, just because someone is like has that fearlessness of hitting boundary with the first ball doesn't mean that they're cut from the same cloth.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Chachan going on to say you need to choose batters who are extremely good in the field, because bowlers and all-rounders are not great in the field. I see where he's getting at in terms of maybe Shaw being susceptible as a fielder. But look, 1 second, hold on. The finger goes up, and Shubman Gill can't believe his luck here, because Theeksana, in his very third delivery, has got Gill, at least momentarily. I think they're going to review this one, and they have. I think it's slight height, but it might be umpire's call.
Let's see. It looks out to me.
Sorry, guys. Sometimes the watchalong just takes over. So we'll keep coming back to your comments. Even Gurkirat's watching this. Gurkirat, are you watching this on Hotstar or Star?
No, I'm watching it on Star.
Yeah, that's my man. Literally updated on time.
And by the way,
what's your gut feel?
There would be a date this month when Gurkirat would be sitting here with us on the watch along. So
on the hot seat,
we'll keep you posted.
I think it might be for one of the ODIs against Sri Lanka.
It's gone.
Is it gone?
Looks out.
Anil Chaudhary is the man on field.
And here I was. Here I'm looking like a fool again. I was like, Gill khilaya acha hai, because मतलब एक ही अच्छा point था कि spinners को counter कर सकता है.
True, but also like his first shot to get off the mark in his T20 international career was always sublime. Like this fucking shot that he just played was mad. Apart from getting LBW. Hardik Vora going to say India haven't won an ICC event post 2000 without their wicketkeeper being from Jharkhand. Just saying you need a Shan Kishan. It's a good point that he makes.
Yeah. Like I said, maybe 3 or maybe 2 open if Shaw is not fit.
So I'm reading a few comments about Gill playing ahead of a Tripathi. For me, Gill shouldn't have been in the squad, because you consistently look at his strike rates in the power play in the IPL. They're not great. It's below 120. For me, he shouldn't have been in the squad. It's a classic case of mixing formats. And even if
Yeah.
he was in the squad, for me, Ruturaj had to play because Ruturaj and Nishan Kishan played when South Africa came to India in early June. Rahul Tripathi
Hmm.
came into the squad in Zimbabwe, so I'm okay if Rahul Tripathi has to wait his turn. But I think Ruturaj should have played.
Hmm.
Uh, for me, Gill
But
shouldn't have
bro,
been.
but then what's the pecking order right now? Because Gill has just come in and now it's just become a bigger fuck up.
Yeah, so what Gurkirat said is the order.
Yeah.
But I feel in terms of merit, I would have opened with Huda and played Tripathi in the middle order. 3, 4. So now Sky is 3. So maybe Tripathi could have been your number 4.
For me, the 11 should have been uh, Kishan, Ruturaj, Hooda at 3, Sky at 4, Hardik at 5, Samson 6, Washington Sundar 7, Akshar Patel 8, and then you have the three bases. I wouldn't have played Chahal.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
didn't play Chahal in the World T20. There is a clear
Mhm.
lack of confidence in where the captains are using Chahal. Neither Shikhar Dhawan nor Hardik were very convincing of his skills. He used to be the fifth or the sixth. He used to be the fifth bowler into the attack in New Zealand. So there's that. And then again, I don't know what is the scheme of things with Harshal Patel. Is he going to be in your plans in West Indies? I don't know. If he is, then okay, you might as well give him 3 games. But for me, the Akshar Patel at 7 with Harshal at 8 and Mavi at 9 doesn't really seem like you have tried to address the batting depth. I
But
would have
that's the
rather
thing, right? Even in the T20 World
I
Cup,
would
which
have
just
I would
like
have
got
rather gone
over,
with
they didn't play. They played Harshal and Chahal so often, but they didn't even feature in the World Cup. So it doesn't even mean anything if they're playing tonight.
Yeah, that's the bottom line is we can't read too much into these selections because ultimately it is very difficult to decipher what's happening.
Okay.
And that is
for
where I
me.
feel that mixing formats uh, is the worst thing that can happen, which seems happening. Even Gurkesh and I agree with the 10 names, but then I still feel that on merit, Tripathi should be ahead of Rituraj Gaikwad just on the basis of who's more attacking and
Yeah.
thus who's more suited to this format.
And Tripathi can be a floater, right? He can
And
open
Tripathi has
and he can
done
bat.
well in multiple IPL seasons,
Yeah.
and I
In
keep
multiple positions.
at multiple positions. So that should count for something.
Yeah,
So
man. I just think it's
even on
unjust. I
the
mean, we kept crying about Sanju Samson not getting a part, and thank God he's playing today. But Gurkirat, like, when will Rahul Tripathi ever get a game? Like, will he get one this series?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. So, see, even if okay, uh, I'm still okay with the 11, except for one player playing today. Like I can understand why Mavi played because okay, Arshdeep is
Yeah.
not available. I can understand choosing Gill over Ruturaj because both starts little slowly and then both can accelerate. Gill's strike rate just after the power play shoots up to 140. So it's not that he can't attack early on. So it's still it's a preference call which is still understandable. But what is
Yeah.
beyond me is why Chahal is playing today. Chahal shouldn't have been playing. It should have been Sundar because again you not only elongate your batting, you still get two different kind of spinners and you know what you get with Chahal. You already know. If this was Kuldeep playing ahead of Chahal, I would have still understood. Okay, maybe they want to try out something. I
And
just
it's
don't
even more baffling when they have more left-handers, right? Like, come on, think about it.
Sorry.
Sri Lanka have more left-handers, and you're still playing Chahal. That also doesn't make sense because Sundar would take the
You
ball away from the
you're
majority.
still you're and versus you're pairing Chahal with Akshar Patel, not even Sundar.
Exactly.
Hmm.
I mean,
And
I agree with Sahil, by the way. I don't know how that's happened, when, and why.
this is where the baffling call would be to not bowl Huda at all because
Yeah, exactly.
this is
Even
something that
better.
I want to see how they are using Huda. I think if we just move past the playing 11 of this game and talk about broader things, there are a few questions which I feel the coming IPL season would answer.
Okay.
Like for example, Samson. So he bats at 3 for
So,
RR.
RR.
3, right?
Yeah.
3 or 4. If
Four,
medical
four,
is
four,
3, he's
four.
4, vice versa.
This season he batted
I think they do that left-right thing.
Yeah.
If Jaiswal is out, they send in Padikkal.
And Butler's out.
Yeah, but I don't see Samson fitting in India's top 4. Whereas I definitely see him fitting in India's
5 or
11.
6. Okay.
So, for his sake, isn't it better if he, the captain, just takes a call of batting at 5 or 6 for RR as well? That's one.
So that propels his case in India.
Exactly. I mean, because 14 games is a lot of game time to just prepare yourself for a particular position.
Correct.
Because that's the only place available.
Yeah.
And the second point is, I just hope Pant recovers soon enough and is ready at least by the IPL.
Yeah.
And he's gone on to say on the record that he wants to open in T20s.
Yeah.
And I think as a captain, he should be able to convince the management that is something that I want to try for my own sake, and it will help DC as well.
Yeah. And you're saying basically Pant should open
DC?
I mean,
so these calls.
Yeah.
I mean, if we are reading those reports that are coming out of BCCI planning player management and workload during the IPL, but it should not just be about workload management. Sometimes roles as well, while obviously not hampering it in a way that franchisees suffer. Because I think even with both these moves, franchises are not going to suffer. If Pant opens, it's fine. Delhi can still have a very good top 6 with Pant opening.
Yeah.
And even with RR, if Samson bats 5 or 6, they can have Parag, having a much bigger role with the bat.
Yeah, it works out. I mean, let's see how it all plays out, because ultimately these franchisees think from their own lens, and even if players want to put their country first in terms of their own thing, like a Samson or a Pant, let's see how that kind of goes across. We'll take some comments right now, because we've been getting a lot of love, and good to know that, because it's the first watch along of 2023. Abhinav Gupta saying, why are we obsessed with creating 3 format players? Please answer him.
I don't know. I don't have an answer to it. I mean, I think, Abhinav, what has happened is 3 format player and becoming a 3 format player was a reality 3 years back.
Yeah.
It has happened so soon that the 3 formats have diverged so much. And all these players who have grown up thinking of Test cricket as the pinnacle of gaining respect among the peers, and then obviously flourishing in white ball cricket for the sake of your financial health. So they wanted to manage both, but I think it will take some time, but it will definitely happen when we'll see players actually preparing for just one format moving forward. And this is where resources come into picture.
Yeah.
A team like India can actually have pools very different for all the 3 formats. And I think we've done a show where we actually tried to separate out teams based on formats. We can probably share the link in the show notes as well. And whereas what England are trying is completely opposite. They're trying to play all the 3 formats in a similar way so that they don't have to create a separate player pool.
Yeah, which is even advanced thing.
It is difficult to actually succeed in the long run. We'll see. We'll figure it out. So far, it has worked for them.
Correct. No, but they've just basically said, look, this is a philosophy. Whoever wants to buy into it, you change your game, and you can get a chance to get play for your country, right?
And this year, it has worked for them.
Correct. Lukia, what's your take on this? Because look, even 7-8 years ago, I feel like, okay, fine, players could still pick 3 formats and do very well in all of them. Case in point, Virat, maybe an MS, and all of that. Unless a couple of formats, obviously, give way at some point in time. Now, because surely if the velocity of cricket, the influx of T20s, they have to pick and choose. And boards need to be more smarter, cannier, i.e. BCCI need to be more wiser, especially before World Cups or picking their squads and formats. What do you have to say, bro? Because if you were the BCCI, you were the selectors, would you just single out players and be like, you're just a test opener. You're nothing else. You're a test opener. That's all you are. Or
So
you're just
here's the thing. Oh, I know we talk about, not mixing formats, but I do think that despite the formats, growing apart from each other, there are still some skills which are transferable, right?
Yeah.
There is still some skills which are transferable. Sometimes the ball actually does a bit in T20s as well. So I think a lot of these calls just happen because of, rating the potential of a player in one format and thinking that he should be able to do well in other format. Like you take an example of Rishabh Pant. He made his T20. I think he made his debut later in ODIs, but I think he did it in T20s and then in test matches, or maybe he did it in test first. But I don't think anyone would have thought initially in 2018, 2019 that Pant will turn out to be a better test player than a T20 player, right?
Absolutely.
So there are these cases as well. Sometimes skills are easily transferable, and sometimes you also struggle to transfer your skills, because a Pat Cummins still does decently in ODIs, but he's, from whenever actually I've seen him bowl in T20s, he's actually been very bad. So I think this belief comes from the fact that essentially it is still the same game. So skills can be transferred. If someone does have a range of shots, then that player should be able to do well as a batter. Just probably needs to work on the mental aspect a little bit. So that is there. As far as England's way is concerned, of trying to play all formats in the similar manner, I still think that if we look back at the series that they played versus South Africa at home, when pitches were actually difficult for batting and they came across a good bowling attack, they still had to bat conventionally. Ben Stokes had to go back and be the test batter that he is and bat like that. So uh, I think adding layers and adding more dimensions to your game is important, but at the same time being flexible about it is equally important. And England,
Hmm.
in that, especially when it comes to batting, are an extremely flexible side. Even they showed that even in the 2019 World Cup, because they started the World Cup thinking that okay, we'll go slam bang, but then they lost a few games. They lost to Pakistan, they lost to Sri Lanka, they lost to Australia, and then then they won 4 games on the trot. So I think
Hmm.
being flexible is far more important than trying to play all formats in a similar manner or in a similar way. I don't think
Hmm.
I think cricket is a too advanced a sport to try and play in one way every time you go out.
Hmm. No, I mean it's more about the mindset that you enter the field thinking that you would be mentally free, but then obviously having the skills to adapt at the spot. And for that, I think you have to be mentally clear first.
But doesn't that go hand in hand? Hold on here 1 second, because two
Oh.
down India, 38 for 2,
And it's
and
Sky.
Surya Kumar Yadav, a rare blemish in T20 international swim. Remember, he had a sensational 2022. The 2023 hasn't got off the fire yet, but I mean, can't really blame him here.
You know,
38
I
by
don't
the way.
mind this. I don't
Yeah.
mind this.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
mind this at all, because it gives us more time to appreciate Samson.
I mean, others have to chip in. I
Yeah,
mean,
for
Sky
sure.
has been single-handedly winning games for India for a while now.
And that's a fine line, really, right? Because if that goes for 6 beyond fine leg, we're just like, oh my God, here we go again. He's making it look like a video game. And look, he's a human after all. 38 for 2. Sri Lanka have actually come back pretty well in the last 3 overs, because 2 of them were bowled by spinners, and now Karatne with the wicket. We'll just come back to this conversation. We'll also take Akash's comment in just due course, because he makes a good point. And Akash, good luck with your root canal. Hopefully you can join
I think
us. for the big
I agree with
2020.
Akash. I mean, that his point makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
India could have played Sundar instead of Aksar and still played Chahal.
Yeah.
It would have solved every issue. I just want
Which is what I asked you earlier.
I just come back. I want to come back to the point that Gurkirat made, which is obviously relevant. The only point is, whenever we talk about being flexible and all, it always, I mean, more often than not, it features Ben Stokes.
Yeah.
And then by now we should realize that he is a different level of cricketer than his peers at the moment.
Correct.
But others still are trying to figure out what, and with the Stokes, we might say that there are still question marks about him being a great T20 player or not. But the point is, he's
adaptable.
He adds value with the ball and field as well.
Yeah.
Just if you think about it, if let's say a character like a Ben Stokes, if he would have only been a batter, would he be a 3 format player? Probably not.
No. Exactly.
That's another. I mean, the biggest issue with Indian cricket at the moment is you don't have a lot of.
Yeah. Same for Jadeja.
And that is the biggest concern for Indian cricket, that you don't have a lot of all-rounders. And this is where England, across formats, they have a lot of players who can do multiple, who can deliver on multiple skills.
Yeah, like a Livingston.
Yeah.
For example.
And this is the biggest difference. I mean, if you try to mix formats, at least do it with utility players. Now, mixing formats with someone like a Shubman Gill will hurt you, because now he's out early. The rest of the game, he will hardly contribute.
Yeah, that's true. But like, it goes back to the point that I was asking you guys earlier. Is that, I mean, right now we're looking at English cricket. Is that the utopia that all the other cricketing boards want to kind of reach at? They've just given all the players in the domestic county and been like, messages loud and clear. We're here to play attacking cricket. If you guys fall under that philosophy, great.
See, that it all comes down to the kind of players you have in your circuit.
Yeah.
Like Australia won't play the same cricket, but then still I feel that they will be competitive when they play against England in their own style. Because at least in some formats, they are also very clear.
Yeah.
Like, for example, what has happened with Scott Boland right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it is clearly that he's above Josh Hazelwood, and they've made this call. I mean, pretty quickly, right?
Correct.
I mean, if you think about it, in India, it would have taken a lot more games to drop someone like a Josh Hazelwood, even when he's fit.
Oh, 100%. Like, that's a good example that you cited.
And even Steve Smith, I mean, he was dropped from the World Cup side. Although Australia did not do well in the World Cup, but at least they were ready to make bold calls, which at times I feel Indian cricket across formats have not really done.
Yeah, and Indian selectors normally kind of get carried away with big runs and numbers, and it's sad. Hardik, what are going on to say? In West Indies, I would rather have.
At this point of time, we don't even know who are the selectors.
Exactly. That's
and what the role is, because I feel selectors are just there to be the scapegoat.
No, but are they kind of given direction from the top dogs?
I mean, at this point of time, I would find it difficult to actually name the selection committee for the 2007 World Cup, the selection committee of the 2011 World Cup, or the selection committee for the 2013 Champions Trophy. Maybe Gurkirat, you know it. I don't. So my point is, it is very easy to make the scapegoat out of them.
True, but like then shouldn't we just change the process of how England changed the process? They got Rob Key in, and they had that one guy making the call, a chief selector, one guy instead of a panel.
So that's what I'm coming to. I think having 5 selectors is way too much.
Exactly.
Because there are not only going to be those 5 selectors, there will be the captain, there will be the coach, and in Saurav Ganguly's tenure, we did see him, and the reports have come out that he was attending selection committees. That is 8 people. Now it is impossible for even 3 people to come to the same consensus or the same conclusion, let alone 8 people. So it can also become a classic case of too many cooks spoiling the broth. So I think at best you need 3 selectors, and then you give selection powers to the coach and the captain. I do think in Indian cricket the coaches and the captain do have some power. It's just that it isn't out there. In Australian cricket, when Michael Clarke was the captain, the coach was one of the selectors, and it was on paper. It wasn't just understood, it was there, and the role was quite definitive. I think the definition of these roles need to be quite clear. You just look at what the latest thing that has come out on with the review meeting on the first of Jan. It says that emerging players need to play a substantial amount of domestic cricket. Now, who are the emerging players? How do you define an emerging player in this? And then what is substantial amount of
So what
cricket?
is substantial?
Exactly. One second. Sorry, we've just got a new man. I'll just do the introduction there. Sanket joining us. Sanket, Happy New Year to you from all of us here at cricket.com. Good to see you, my friend. You'll be part of this conversation very shortly. Gurkirat can finish what he was talking about. And I have a question as well for Gurkirat and Som. So
that's what I'm saying. There is far too much ambiguity. Now, I don't know whether it is created to look for easy scapegoats, or whether it is created on purpose to look for shortcuts, or to do whatever you please at the end, or is it something which is which is just happened because things weren't thought of deeply? I don't know.
Okay, you cited an example of Michael Clarke there, and I completely get that. I'll cite another recent example in terms of Chris Silverwood and Joe Root. And sorry to keep going back to England, because look, they've got a fair couple of fair right things, at least in a couple of occasions. But Rob Key.
But Chris Silverwood was the other extreme, right?
Correct.
He was the coach and the chief selector. So that is like other extreme altogether.
But now they've taken a U-turn on that whole thing, where they've got Rob Key, who's calling the shots. Then they have McCullum and Stokes, who are fine.
And they have been given the flexibility to select the team that they want.
And similar with Matthew Morton, Butler it is, in the T20 and the ODI scheme of things. But instead of having more selectors, what they've done is they've split their roles in terms of a chief selector and the player identification scout, who's, I think, Mo Bobat, not sure.
Bobat, yeah.
But he, of course, basically looks at county cricket and identifies a bunch of players who he would present to Stokes, McCullum, and the other guys. And they'll be like, okay, fine, cool.
No, I think this is out.
Short said too soon. Oh, what a catch that is. What a catch that is. Because...
I think it's been shelled.
Oh, my God. The reaction that he gave. Who is this guy? Asalanka.
Yeah.
It's Asalanka. Oh, he's taken it. Is he claiming it? Shanaka has kind of made...
I'm not sure. I'd be very surprised if it's given
out, yeah.
Soft signal is
not out. So, I mean...
But yeah, sorry, we're just talking about all these other things. We're going to come back to the match for
And I mean,
for two.
just to finish this
6.2.
conversation, it will be very naive for us to actually believe that even after having 5 selectors, the captain, the coach do not attend those meetings or don't have a say in it. I mean, although it's not on paper, but come on, this is Indian cricket.
Yeah, I mean,
and
finish.
Yeah, I mean, that is what it is. Not
out. Not out. I remember Ravi Shastri, saying that he didn't have any say in selections. Regardless of who the coach is, I'm not buying that.
Yeah, I think 100%, bro. I think Kohli had a say in selections. I mean, as crazy as that sounds, they'll sweep it under the carpet and they'll be like, the selectors picked him and stuff. When Virat was building his whole team,
there are always news that come out that selection committee will be meeting tonight and Rohit Sharma would be joining on a video call. Why is he joining?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just think about it. In generally sport, you will have things which are swept under the carpet and which will just go as presumed normal. But there's always favoritism. There's always a couple of picks here and there which will never kind of make logic about it. But meanwhile, Sanju Samson, 5 of 5, 46 for 2. Sanket, let's take this comment from you first. Greg goes on to say, India have 5 selectors based in zones. It's about distributing power, removing individual bias.
That's the logic behind it. But yeah, Sanket, go ahead.
Agree, disagree?
I think the way Indian cricket and cricket in the subcontinent works, I think there is some logic to it because it's a very vast country, and then there's always that allegation of nepotism.
I'm so sorry, Sanket. I have to interrupt you again because Sanju Samson. Oh, we've jinxed it. At least I have in my head because I was really hoping that he gets some runs. It was a loopy one from Dhananjaya De Silva, and he was, of course, dangled by the carrot. So, talk to me.
Do you think that the pitch is offering grip?
No, man. I mean, it's just poor shot selection.
If not for Samson, at least for Sky, we can go back and think about it that probably he also mistimed one.
Dude.
See, this shot was on.
It was on.
This is a favorable matchup. He has to take him out.
I disagree with you in respect. I know people will say poor shot selection, but if he's...
Shot selection was fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Slog sweep to off spinner. I mean, the shot is on.
And he had about 4 or 5 sighters, so it's not like...
And it's his 6th ball, not his first.
Exactly. And I wouldn't be surprised if he would go from ball 1.
Yeah, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. 46 for 3. So I think Hardik Pandya is going to come out. And I'm sure it's going to be like, oh yeah, it is Hardik Pandya. Sanju giving wickets to
Huda. Again, now, Sanket, we'll definitely come back to you. But one last point. We were discussing before you joined that how to use IPL better for
correct. And you mentioned
Indian selection. And now again, if Huda, by the look of things, if he has to be tried as a finisher, then he has to do something. He has to do something similar for LSG as well.
So they should swap roles with Badoni and Huda.
Yeah, I mean, see, I know it won't hurt that franchisee a lot. They can figure it out. They can probably.
Who are you kidding? The franchisees have their own ego. So
understood, but that is what messing Indian cricket up at the end of the day, right?
But they don't care. They don't care. That's why the whole system is flawed.
And then it's a BCCI product.
It's crazy. Sanket, come in here. Talk to me. When Bumrah also, the World Cup year, Mumbai were playing him and Mumbai had nothing to do. And I'm not blaming Mumbai, but all franchisees are selfish.
And they have a good reason.
Yeah, I mean,
they have a good reason.
I think that's true all over the world. Like in T20 cricket, I don't think there is any franchise league in the world which caters to the interests of their respective national team league. Like they would. I think that's a problem that is faced by every side in T20 cricket, where they have the best batters batting in the top order for their franchises, and when it comes to internationals, then they have to suddenly move down the order and they have to adapt to a different role. I think India is still better placed than others in this respect because firstly you have 4 overseas players, so there will be certain players at least who will get an opportunity to finish games off for the sides, whereas in other leagues where you have got only two overseas players, I think it will be even harder because there you obviously would have less quality, so your best players will be batting higher up, even more so than in the IPL. And secondly, I think India also play more T20Is than almost any other team. So even if they're not getting, the players are not getting the required amount of exposure in the IPL, they should still be able to do that for the national team. Like they can play, a decent number of games. Like Dinesh Karthik made his debut, like not his debut, rather his comeback in the T20I scheme of things this year. I think played 28 matches before this year's World T20. or rather 20 odd matches, and then total it was 28 after the including the World T20 matches. So it's not that I think that they're not being giving enough exposure to the players. I think that part is sorted. But yeah, I mean, going back to your original point about the workload management, I think I've just read today that Cameron Green won't be bowling for Mumbai Indians till the 13th of April or something like that. So that's what Cricket Australia have imposed as a workload management thing. So I think BCCI are also within their rights to do that. But again, if the franchises then resist it, then there's always the possibility of friction. It's probably easier for a board like Cricket Australia to say it, because you know they have no stake in the IPL basically. If Cameron Green ultimately, if there is any issue between Cricket Australia and the IPL, then Cameron Green will have to take a call either to play for Australian cricket or to play in the IPL. And I think they're pretty confident that they will choose Australia over the IPL. Whereas for BCCI, which basically owns the IPL, I think going squaring off against the franchises might not be the smartest idea. So I think that's a fine line that they have to balance. But in World Cup year, I think you can probably, it's probably not unreasonable on the part of the BCCI to expect them to make some exceptions, especially for players like Bumrah.
Yeah. So there are a lot of things I actually want to double click on.
Yeah, or
So-
pick up from there.
Yeah, I mean, so number one, every year is a World Cup year
Yeah,
when it comes to cricket.
For me,
The-
I think
apart from 2025. Apart from 2025.
It's a Champions Trophy year. I mean, what's the difference? There is still something to win. Second, it's not just the team owners. It's also about broadcasters, broadcasting value, and sponsorship value. And three, there was this another point.
The ball.
Yeah, I mean, you said, I mean, the point that you said that Indian cricketers play a lot of cricket, but if you think of it proportionally, now there would be a player A from another country who would play 60-20s a year, whereas he might play all those 60-20s at a particular position with a particular role in mind, whereas an Indian cricketer might end up playing 25 T20s a year. Those are, let's say, split half into two different roles in the team. So even though if they're playing a lot of games, they're always having to jump between roles.
Yeah.
And I feel that is gonna convolute their thought process. I mean, as long as, I mean, to a greater extent, even then, even if they're playing like a lot of games at a particular spot, but since they have to move around a lot, plus have to be keep themselves updated to just aim for that, being that three format player.
Yeah.
I mean, that's asking a lot, and that is the ultimate reason why I feel that Indian cricketers, when it comes to crunch moments, their mind is cluttered
Because of so much on their plate.
because of lack of clarity.
Yeah. And I think that's going to eat into Indian cricket. We've already seen eat into Indian cricket. The fact that there's no roles really given to these players. They're just like, okay, fine, you're an opener. We'll try you in pretty much every format. Obviously, case in point, Shubman Gill over here, because he's made his T20 debut today. By the way, 50 people watching. All you guys, lovely people, Happy New Year. And we will tell you all our New Year's tales in the midway innings to have some fun games as well. That'll be fun for sure. Subscribe and keep the comments coming through, because we're highly interactive on this Tuesday night. Looking at prediction time right now, because I know we still have bowlers who can bat, if I'm right to say that, in terms of Hooda, Harshal, Shivam, Mavi. I'm obviously not putting them in the same bracket. My point being, how much do you think we can muster from now? Because me and Som were being ambitious, saying 210 at the top of the show. That's not happening, right? Or do you think there is hope?
At present, I'd say 170.
170?
This doesn't look like a 200 pitch.
It doesn't look like a 200 pitch, but like, what do you think?
There is a little bit of grip, but we don't know. If when India come on to bowl, there is due. I don't know. In that scenario, it could be quite different. But I don't see how India are going to get beyond 170 as of now.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
also think that I also think that at
Also-
this point of time, Hooda should have come in, because Hasaranga still yet to bowl his 4 overs, and yeah, I mean, I would have rather
Oh, he's put it down. Sharp chance goes begging. Hasaranga's first ball.
After that England semi-final, every time I feel that pitch is playing trick, I like pinch myself. Maybe it's just like the Indian batters. That's the way
It's the
they're
Indian
playing.
batters. Fuck. So Hasaranga elevated to vice captain, by the way. So good on him. RCB lad.
आजकल कैप्टनसी मैटर नहीं कर रही है तो फिर भी वाइस कैप्टनसी
Vice captains are crucial, man. KL.
not anymore.
BCCI should allow a few T20 specialists to play the CPL if India have to make some difference. I would love that to happen, dude. But that's never gonna happen in a million years.
वही बात है ना, प्रॉब्लम यही है कि we just keep moving in circles. Like IPL में चेंज नहीं होगा क्योंकि फ्रेंचाइजी है, ब्रॉडकास्टर है, ये है, वो है, पैसा है. इंडियन क्रिकेटर्स को बाहर नहीं जाएंगे क्योंकि आईपीएल की वैल्यू है. तो अल्टीमेटली बात यही है ना कि
I also think that the latest impact player rule that they brought, that is actually going to produce even more one-dimensional cricketers, because now you have a situation where you could just have a new ball specialist bowling and then he just goes away, and then he doesn't have to
that rule will ultimately be promoted to all T20Is as well, for sure.
If it works, ICC always gonna get seduced by the idea.
That rule itself is brought for India's benefit.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to go back to the point, of the 5 selectors, where someone said that it is there to ensure that there is no bias, right?
Yes.
But again, one, I don't think you can ever rule out bias from selections, because selection is at the end of the day a subjective call. It's an activity of elimination rather than an activity of selection, because when you have so much talent, you actually select 15 players on the basis of elimination, not really in terms of selection. That is one. Two, if that was actually the case, right, we would have more cricketers from the Northeast, but we don't have it, which is also because a lot of these northeastern states, when they play the Ranji Trophy, they are in the played group, right? So I think there is no way, even if you have 5 selectors from five different zones, to objectively select the best players from giving equal representation, because the competition that you have, which feeds to the national team, it isn't designed in a manner to provide the equally challenging opponents or conditions, right? So I think at some level there has to be some trust that, okay, we'll select the best 3 people, and those 3 best people have to ensure that they have to select the best players. And these days you have selectors from zones, but we know that the IPL lobby counts for far more now. We saw that even during MS Dhoni's time, right, when Srinivasan was the president and CSK was at the peak. You had so many cricketers who were from CSK, getting a chance to play because MS Dhoni was the captain. And, there is some logic as well, because MS Dhoni has seen those cricketers closely. I don't think under any other captain, someone like a Sudeep Tyagi or a Manpreet Goni would have played for India. I don't think, if MS Dhoni wasn't the captain of CSK and India, I don't think those cricketers would have played. Similarly, selection of Mavi. There is an element of Hardik's trust in Shivam Mavi, because Shivam Mavi is getting good deals at the IPL level, but his numbers at the T20 level aren't something which should really excite you. And similarly,
and Mavi's case is even more weird, because he's not played a season for Gujarat Titans, so it's not the case of Hardik actually have knowing him.
But I think he must have seen something somewhere, for because Gujarat actually went hard for him. They paid 6 crores for him. So maybe there is something over there. Similarly, Shubman Gill's selection, like I don't think he should have been in the squad, let alone be in the 11. So one, I don't think bias can ever be removed from selection. That has to be there, and people need to accept it. Two, I don't think that in today's time having 5 selectors from 5 zones makes sense, because essentially a lot more value is given to the IPL. And if you look at it, in the IPL you don't have players who are from their respective states or anything. So to me it doesn't make sense. At the end of the day, you have to trust those 3 players, and then or 3 people, and then take that call, because at this point of time, like I said initially, there is far too much ambiguity. Now I don't know, it is by design to make sure that there is always an easy scapegoat available, or it just happens because of the way cricket has been run in the country for quite so long.
So again, two broad. Yes, Sanket, go ahead. I'll speak after that.
How the Australian system works currently is that they have 3 selectors and the coach is one of them. So it's actually only 2 selectors plus the coach. The captain is not officially a selector, but he definitely has a say. Like, they don't shy away from that responsibility. Whenever you see a press conference, you'll have Pat Cummins coming out and justifying it. You won't see the kind of situation where we've seen with India, where they've sacked the entire bunch of selectors after the World T20, but the captain and the coach apparently remain in their jobs. That I don't think makes any sense. Although in T20 there is talk of Rahul Dravid being replaced with Nehra possibly, and Hardik Pandya will obviously replace Rohit Sharma. So possibly that could happen. But again, I think one, at least one of the coach or the captain, and has to be the coach, because captain being one of the players really cannot be in the selection panel. The last time Australia did that with Michael Clark, it ended quite badly with the homework gate incident and all that, and after which he was removed from the selection panel. And since then, the captain has not officially been on the panel, but he does have a say from the outside. But the coach has to be there, and the coach, along with maybe two to three other people, that I think probably is, as they say, the too many cooks spoil the broth. So I kind of agree with Gurkirat. I think uh, you have to have a clear line of authority, wherein you have one person or two persons who are accountable for the whole thing, rather than having five people, and then you just spreading, like blaming from one person to another based on their zones or whatever. It's like if a player gets selected from a certain zone, and if that player doesn't end up doing well, then naturally the blame will go to the selector who is from that particular zone, which I don't think is correct. So yeah.
And it's been different examples, dude. You can say the Kohli Shastri era, many people would think that Virat and Ravi Shastri were picking their 15s, if not 18s, if not their 30s. And you just have the selectors kind of making the calls. I mean, I think MSK Prasad was the chief selector at that point in time. And I think he was just echoing whatever Virat and Ravi Shastri had. I'm sure every captain coach in world cricket have their demands, and they go to the selectors and be like, listen, this is what we want.
And I think the primary job of selectors is actually to find out loopholes in their plan.
Exactly.
I don't think any selector would, in their right mind, want to just not listen to the captain, the coach, and just say, no, we are giving you a team. You are not entitled for a team. Because based on the examples that Gurkirat has stated, and we know them for sure, like what happened today, or what happened for the squad for this series, or what happened in the MS Dhoni era.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just a few examples of captains actually having the say in squad selection. Even before the World Cup, Rohit Sharma went on to say on record after Bumrah got ruled out that we are looking for someone who's experienced in Australian condition.
Yeah.
I mean, why would he say that if he doesn't have a say?
Yeah.
Because that's not for him to decide.
Correct.
Okay. And even, before the...
And now he's not being a mere mouthpiece.
Yeah, and ahead of the ODI series, he said that we already know the players. We know the 12 men.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
We want to pick from. So, he has a say there.
Yeah.
Second, talking about the bias, so this was an example of players and coaches actually having a say.
Yeah.
It can be coach having the say and then player and coach interacting and both of them being on the same page.
If they take the praise, then why don't they take the punishment as well? It's like
this is what that is where the selectors are the scapegoat. That is what I said ahead of the show, that we don't know who the selectors. We don't remember who the selectors were in the 2007 World Cup or the 2011 World Cup or the 2013 Champions Trophy. So selectors are there to make a scapegoat. And second, the point that Gurkirat made about having 5 selectors. If you have selectors based on zones, that itself is like introducing a bias.
Yeah.
Because you are there to represent your people.
But the way the BCCI are looking at it is, because our country is so vast, they're breaking it down to 5 zones, and that guy is the key point of contact, the one main guy.
So this is where this entire system needs a revamp, where you have to have a framework which is more performance driven than having the need of someone representing you. Let's say if there is a framework developed that you have to have, and everyone selects yardsticks that by ye tumhara is format mein is level pe ye performance hona chahiye. These are the fitness requirements, these are the role requirements, and let's see who are the cricketers who actually fit into that formula, irrespective of where they come from.
But don't you think it's too big a pool? Like, theoretically, it sounds
not
good,
really.
But
this is what data modeling is all about, and this is what the great scouts and the great the best data analysts.
This is really freaky. So 1 second, just on a side note, we've been doing this watch along for what? An hour and 3 minutes right now. And there's just random balls and things falling from behind. The lights are going off. It's like Halloween vibes. And me and So were just looking at ourselves right now because there's some weird noise coming from above.
So if you
hold on here. There could be another wicket. It is Ishan Kishan's perish now, and Hasaranga has got his man. India 4 down for 77, and the look of the fan tells it all. And India, they're still pretty much just after their midway mark of the first innings. Hardik's still there. There's Huda left. There's Akshar left. There's Harsha left. There's Shiva Mavi left. But Ishan Kishan was looking good, and now he has to go. And all you 51 people watching, subscribe. Watching the CDC watch along.
Yeah, I'll just finish my point. Just give me like a few more seconds.
Go on.
If you, I'm sure a lot of people would be following those cricket quiz models when they talk about expected average or pitch ratings. So this is essentially what good modeling does, right? You identify a pool of players who are expected to deliver against a certain opposition under certain conditions. And I think in this day and age, with the player pool, that is the model that you should come up with. And I'm not saying that you should select the entire squad on that basis. You should filter players on that basis and then take judgment calls that what would provide the right balance.
Yeah, but like
By
that's
the
never
way,
going
by the way, just saying.
I mean,
So
just say like, oh, it's gut feel and instinct. Sometimes you got to
just
stick
saying,
it.
in the last year and a half, or probably since the beginning of 2021, when I've tried to follow a little bit of Indian cricket, that is domestic cricket, that is available on Hotstar, right? I've not even seen the speedometer in the coverage, right? So how are you even essentially tracking speeds?
Yeah,
you don't have a speedometer providing you the speeds for the.
No, but I'm sure the teams would have access to that data.
no,
right?
not really. If you've not signed up with us with the agency who will actually track it for you.
But they would.
If Hawkeye if Hawkeye is not covering that game, they don't have that equipment for that game. How would they know? And if they know, broadcasters will know.
Dude, that is a loophole.
Yeah, I mean,
there ever was. By the way, there's a stumping
too long
call.
ago, and around the 2021 IPL, the BCCI website for each and every game had Hawkeye. It had Hawkeye trackers where you could see the speeds and the ball and the trajectory, and then it was randomly removed, right? So it was a very good tool for someone to actually see and study, okay, what has happened in the game. And then in the domestic cricket, I'm talking about the Syed Mushtaq Ali, the Ranji Trophy. A lot of times, if you watch the game, there is no speed tracker on the broadcast. If there is no speed tracker on the broadcast, okay, how do you measure the speeds? Because as a selector, even if you are in the stadium watching the game, you're not going to get to know the speed. That is for certain, right? So how, as a selector, are you even getting to know at what speed is which bowler bowling at, if it's not there on the broadcast? So a lot of it is just is just disappointing and sad, to be very honest.
Yeah,
and we're the world's richest cricket boards, by the way.
And ultimately, see, I'm all for gut feel. I'm not saying gut feel doesn't have a role. Gut feel always has a role, but gut feel is always subjective. Whereas numbers don't lie.
Our country in terms of cricket is subjective. That's the main essential problem.
Then that is why, even after being the richest body and the biggest pool, essentially Indian cricket has been mediocre.
In the last 10 years, it's been mediocre.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing we can do. So, Chant, we always think that the selection was wrong whenever we lose, but that's the easiest blame. The players need to on the ground need to perform and not on the bench.
No, but on this forum, we don't talk about selection in hindsight. We actually talk it before the game. So
yeah, we're not like actually kind of making knee-jerk reactions or whatever. So Gokidat has a point there. A question that I just want to ask the lads is something that Saket was talking about with the Cameron Green example, right? Do you think that now being just a one-off will slowly start creeping into the minds of cricket boards, and then New Zealand, Cricket South Africa, they all pick their players and be like, okay, fine, you can't use this player like this. And then
Australia can afford to do it because they will reimburse the player for that. Even if Cameron Green doesn't opt to go there, that is what they do with Stark. I'm pretty sure that he has, at least, maybe not now.
Yeah, but my question is, do you think it'll become a norm now?
No, not all the boards can afford it. That's the reason.
Oh, because
that is the reason why West Indian cricket has sort of evaporated.
Okay, fine. So, I don't know. Give me a ballpark figure of this Cameron Green situation, right? If you're Cricket Australia and you're having a conversation with Mumbai Indians, what is the riff off? What do you need to pay to compensate for that April 13th or whatever?
I think it's very, very difficult to actually nail down a figure. But
okay,
I think
there must be some, I think there will be some sort of mutual agreement. I'm not sure when is the IPL starting. Have they even announced the dates yet? So he's not available.
Last week of March. Pretty sure.
How many games he's actually going to miss? How many games are Mumbai Indians playing in that period? How many games is he actually not going to be able to bowl in? So if it's not substantial, then I think there probably won't be any compensation or things like that for the first season, because anyways I think Mumbai Indians have also brought Green as a long-term prospect. In any case, I don't think he's a good T20 bowler anyways. Like I think he should be a sixth bowling option, not one of your main five. So I don't think that is going to be a deal breaker as far as Cricket Australia or the Mumbai Indians is concerned. So, but yeah, I think
They just looked at it from a workload.
I think my understanding is, and I might be wrong, that if a player is bought and if that said player is injured and can't attend because of injury, they still have to pay him his fee.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's just normal business.
I think certain percentage it's 100%. I think certain percentage. I don't think it's 100%.
And that's that case, right? I mean, he can't bowl because he's injured.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think he will be bowling in the Border Gavaskar Trophy. As far as I think this thing is only till the IPL, for the IPL.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely bowl in the Border Gavaskar Trophy because he's done that. I think he bowled in Pakistan also, and he bowled pretty well. So that's that. Akash goes on to ask, Gurkiat can take this first one. What's Deepak Huda's role as a finisher? Would it have been ideal to send him back above Hardik? Agree, disagree?
I think they should have just swapped him and Samson around. I think Samson is probably one of India's better players of pace, and he would have been, I think, the ideal guy to groom at number 6. I know he doesn't bat there for his franchise, but purely in terms of skill set, I think he's not a bad option for India to groom at 6. Whereas Huda, we've all seen how he plays against pace. He looked like completely out of his depth in the World T20, and even in the Asia Cup, it did not look particularly hot coming in the end overs, even in New Zealand. So, slightly baffling call.
I think at
Dude,
this
I
point
don't know
of
if you guys agree with me or not. Gurkiat, sorry, let me just ask you a question and then make my context also heard. Deepak Hooda is one of those cricketers in terms of the T20 international scheme of things. You can fit in wherever, however, because he bats, bowls, and fields. He can literally field anywhere. He can literally bat anywhere, and he can bowl pretty much in every phase. I mean, bar in the death.
you've somewhat said what I wanted to say. I think his role is that of being a Stepney.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, ideally, he should. In my 11, he was batting at number 3 because I think that's the best place to bat him, and then probably bowl him whenever you say have 2 left-handers, and even that is something that is not a given always. Like if the pitch has dew, and given that Wankhede is a small ground, it will come with its risk even against left-handers. So for me, Hooda had to be number 3, Sky 4, Hardik 5, and Samson 6. I said this before the game. I do think that Hooda's batting out of position right now, and against express pace or back off length, I do think his game requires a lot of work, which Samson already has the game. Uh, yeah, so I think at this point of time, the Indian team itself aren't sure that what is Hooda's best position. If they're actually trying him as a finisher, I just think that I don't think it's an objectively a good call given his game against spin.
Also,
What he does
also
have is power, but I don't think that power is really going to help him against express pace all the time.
also promoting Surya Kumar Yadav, who's actually your best player and who's been doing so well at number 4. I think it's just like creating a new problem. You're just fixing something that isn't, instead of just getting in someone else at number 3 and just letting the guy who's doing well at 4 bat there. Because I don't think there is any upside in just him batting even higher up the order, and then you have batters who are not quite as equipped to bat down the order, batting out of position.
Yeah, fair point, because I think even Gurkiat mentioned the fact that he'd liked Samson to probably enter the squad as a number 6, which is fair enough. I just want to ask Som of this Deepak Hooda point. Does Deepak Hooda himself know what his best role or his value add can be in this Indian team? Is it just adaptability?
See, at this moment, Deepak Hooda just wants to be in the 11. Bhai, tum jo karwaoge, main kar lunga.
No, that's what I'm
It's
saying,
not
but-
like कि उसका say है कि मेरे को ये
So you
करना
said
है.
you'll try to fit him in as an opener, and there's merit to that
Because he
he's
is a
got
top
guns.
order player.
Correct.
See, right now, the role that Hooda is given, I think the team is not using. It's like the worst of both worlds for him.
Yeah.
Neither the team is using his batting properly, nor his bowling, because we've seen that he's been under-bowled. Whenever there's a pressure situation, the captain has forgotten that there is a bowling option
Correct.
in Hooda. And I mean, he's not a finisher. He's never been a finisher.
So what is his best asset?
I mean, if
Top order heavy batting.
top order batter, and then maybe chip in with a couple of overs for matchup option, maybe in the power play against lefties.
So if Deepak Hooda turns into a Rahul Tripathi, he can pretty much be that person that we want him to be, right? A guy who can bowl and be a Rahul Tripathi basher.
But does he have the skills to be a Rahul? I mean,
He's a six-hitter.
No one can become a Rahul Tripathi.
I know, but he's a six-hitter. I'm just saying, in terms of mindset and fearlessness, I think that can be improved from his
I mean, the
side.
bigger question is, and maybe Gurkirat and Sanket, you guys can chip in. Would Deepak Hooda would be in any of the squads if he would have been just a batter?
Yeah, fair question.
I mean, given the kind of season that he had for Lucknow last time, I wouldn't have I wouldn't mind him having as a pure batter alone. But for me, he has to bat in the top three, not below.
In Asian
But
conditions,
that's
I
only
would say
because,
yes. But
sorry, Saket, but that's only because he's a top order batter, or irrespective of all the other batsmen you have around him, you'll take a call then.
No, so if I have other options, then I'd probably not take him, because what Sanket was going to say, that in Asian conditions you can have him as a batter, but not outside of those conditions, which is something that I tend to agree with. I see. I do think that a lot of people have overrated him on that island century, and at the same time I also feel that he's being very poorly used. He's not being given a he even like Somesh said, that at this moment he wants to be in the 11 and try and make do of whatever he can do. But at the same time, all of us need to understand that each and every player has some limitations, and beyond that limitations, it's difficult for players to perform to a certain role. I'm not saying that they will always not perform, but at this point of time, it looks like that the way Deepak Hooda is being used in the team, it's a role which is set up for him to fail. I don't really see him succeeding in this role regardless of what he
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. Aditya Mehra not happy clearly in the comments below. Indian team management don't have any knowledge about their team. Aditya, with that energy, also subscribe kar de, please.
is Rahul Dravid coaching this series? By the way, is Rahul Dravid coaching this series, or is it previous Lakshman?
No, Rahul Dravid's there.
It's Dravid. Between England, Australia, and New Zealand, who's favourite for the 50-over World Cup? We'll do all these questions surely in the mid-innings bit for sure. So join us then. Som's still thinking about it for sure. Hardik, what are going to say? Going off topic, if Ben Stokes was India's Test captain, he would have replaced Pant with Kishan over KS and Upendra in PGT.
Maybe.
It's a good shout. It is a good shout.
But
I think
again, do India have those pitches for someone like Kishan to succeed? Because if we are just looking at the first class averages, there's not much to choose between Kishan and KS Bharat. KS Bharat, I think, has a first class average of 38. Kishan, I think, has a first class average of 37. As a batter alone, I don't think these averages are good enough, because usually if you pick someone up to play Test cricket for India, the bar as a batter is 50. If you want to go for a keeper, it should be still 45, because Pant's first class average was 58 when he was picked for India. And even Riddhiman Saha's average was quite good. He averaged 34 for India in Tests. So I do think that the averages of 37 and 38 in first class cricket aren't great enough. But at this point of time, I think they'll have to make do. I think the best solution possible is, again, I hate to say this, but I think the best possible solution is for KL to keep wickets and then India play Sarfaraz. But
Or
I
maybe
have
even Sarfaraz can keep wickets.
no,
He's been doing it lately.
I know, but it's wishful thinking.
He has been doing it lately.
but again, I don't have enough confidence in KL the batter. So it's a very catch-22 kind of a situation.
See, the point is, I don't agree with even for a minute anyone trying to think that Kishan can actually replace Pant in India's Test team. Not at all. And B, I don't agree with this. What is the statement either? Because probably if that would have been the case, England would not have gone back to Ben Foakes and probably would have picked Sam Billings.
Yeah, that's a good case in point, because England, the way they're picking their players is obviously because of philosophy. We've seen that. I think even Alex Lees was out of touch, but then he got that South Africa series and then he had to perish.
The most underrated aspect of Baz Ball or England's new approach has been the way they are with the ball.
Exactly.
Because with the bat, it is visible. Ki bhai maar rahe. But they have clear plans with the ball as well.
To take 20 wickets on that pitch
Yeah.
was ridiculous. That wasn't even a 2-wicket pitch. It was a road. Then why didn't we go with that?
I was actually thinking about this guy in the last round of Ranji Trophy games as well. That, I mean, it's sad that these are grinders at the domestic level.
But they don't get the limelight as an IPL flag in the pan does.
If you think about it, KS Bharat came into the test squad after a good IPL.
Exactly.
KS Bharat's batting
Akshay needs to
good
get a
IPL
game.
or one good game?
One good game. One good game, which is a match-winning game, hitting a full toss, long on,
Against
pass long on.
DC. I think there were 2 games on at the same point, and the other was the MI-SRH game. So I missed out on KS Bharat's knock totally.
No, but I'm saying for an Akshay Vadkar, Akshay, if you're watching, big fan of yours from all of us here at
Is it given?
What does he need to do?
Oh, it's given. Hardik is gone.
Hardik's gone here. Madhu Shankar replacing Theekshana, he's got him.
Even 170 looks like way off.
Yeah, sorry, Nikhil V. I think the earlier comment said, guys, what do you think the pass score is? And right now, I think we safely were guessing it was 170. Oh, and we have an introduction if there ever was. And you're getting a call.
With that, maybe I'll just take
a little small breather. We'll make a quick substitution. One Agarwal for the other. Happy New Year, my friend. Nice to see you, buddy. It's good to.
The important question here is that do they have the same spelling of Agarwal?
No, it's not.
It's a G and a double G.
I have double G. He is single G. That's the only difference, but a major one.
Yeah, major one indeed.
That's a very important question.
94 for 5. Just if you had to quickly
New Year, same thing.
New Year, same thing.
What else?
What else?
I wanted to use a different word instead of saying 4-letter word starts with S, but let it be.
Oh, sure. I'll say it on the behalf. New Year, same shit. Honestly, it doesn't get worse than that. But guys, I mean, 94 for 5. Should we be bothered right now, or is it just like it's all right? We learn from our mistakes. There times where we win games, at times where we learn games.
It's something that I say a lot in T20s. I don't mind losses in T20s because I genuinely think that the margins are too fine. You could do almost everything right and lose the game, and it's okay. I genuinely don't mind losses in T20s. What I have bigger issues with is the thought process, and I again think that the thought process to play Hooda at 6 and to not play Samson at 6 is a problem for me. Similarly, playing Chahal today is a problem for me. I don't mind the loss, quite honestly. I don't mind it because
but isn't it also a chance for our 5, 6, 7, 8 to show their caliber with the bat? I know they're more bowlers, but like technically now these 4.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. This is an opportunity for Akshar. So
in your head, how much do you expect them to eke out from here? Hooda, Akshar, Harshal, and Mavi, if you're counting him as a batter.
150 at best.
Would you be happy as an Indian fan? Would you be happy with that?
Realistically, 150. If I'm being very optimistic, 160. If they do 160, I think they would have done brilliantly.
Okay, Sanket, you agree with Gurkirat, or do you think that's wishful thinking?
I think they can get up to 160. Yes, Sri Lanka don't have the greatest of death bowling attacks.
Have we lost a wicket here?
We just lost Hardik over here.
Older one.
So if you guys believe 160, and I'll ask Shubh this as well, then Buddha has to play one of those 40, 50 cameos. Right? Essentially.
So who's going to be bowling? Like 1 over of Hasranga, 1 over of Theekshana.
Theekshana left.
2 overs of
Rather than saying India will lose today, they selected took batters ahead of the party. Ridiculous.
Tripathi is someone who definitely deserves a chance, bro, though. But I mean, ahead of Gill for sure in terms of strike rate. If you are making a team for the T20 World Cup with batters who actually, who attack the bowlers, I feel Tripathi is a much better shout than Shubman Gill right now. So I was surprised.
100%.
I mean, it just a couple of things. First is it could be another case of India mixing for formats because Gill has done very well in ODI. The second thing is it's just that that limelight that is attached with Gill. I mean, you get tempted. Yeah, you get tempted to play him ahead of others. I can understand that, but at least look at the numbers. Look at the strong zones of every visual.
And
I think
imagine you're
Tripathi was the
Gaikwad
perfect
or
player.
Tripathi, right?
Exactly.
It's just
So
like, what do you mean? And Tripathi just been holding drinks for the longest time. Ankit Ka multi-verse going on to say first 2 overs, 28 runs, and then 41 after 6 overs. Honestly, it's been shocking from India today. But
let's just
okay.
share a comment. Let's just share a comment by Anirudh. He's correcting me. He's saying that KS Bharat actually came into the squad after a good India Ace 10. If we could request Anirudh to share those numbers of those
Brilliant. Because I
players.
think, I think Gurkirat politely put it in the internal messages as well. I was going to raise that point. Ani, if you can come on in some point in time in the next 5-10 minutes and share us India A numbers, it'll be pretty good. Sharak, just coordinate and see if we can get it on the screen somehow through a form of an infogram. So then we can have the comments coming in after the viewers see the numbers. But guys, it's 100 for 515 overs. This is where I love playing the prediction game. And in 2023, we're doing it differently. We're all having 10 rupees and literally going to be having friendly bets as well. Just 10 rupees or chocolates. I mean, not observant amounts. So what is it, Gurkirat? 157, 155, but be specific. And I will tell you my prediction.
sorry, what you are asking
Prediction.
for? My
101
prediction?
for 515 overs. Sanket, Gurkirat, Shubh, tell me your predictions now.
155.
Okay. Sanket? Sanket's gone. He's panicked.
I
He's
don't want to
panicked.
do this.
He's
I
like,
don't want to
I'm
do
not
this
signed
at
up
all.
for predictions. He's just run away. Or he's been disconnected. One of the two, but I think he's panicked. I'm not sure. But 155 says Gurkirat.
I say 144 now, but let me tell you, whatever I predict, the batting team has went on to score 10-15 runs extra. So I don't know, but yeah, 144 for now.
Okay, I love it because I'm going to sit literally in the middle of both of them. 149 is what I'm going to go for.
144, 149, and 155. 155.
155. So pretty much got our predictions in. Also, all you 45 beautiful people watching this,
140
let us know your comments because you could stand a chance to win a CDC goodie bag because 2023, we're feeling festive. It's still the season greeting. So who knows? If you guys get it bang on, let us know and we'll, of course, shower you our love. Sanket is back on. Sanket, tell me your predictions,
Yeah,
my friend.
I'm going for 168.
Okay,
168.
whoa. Hold the phone here. What do you think is going to happen then?
I think they've got 1 over of Kasum Rajita. I think that's going to go for 20-25 runs.
Okay, interesting. If it happens, then an absolute invisible medal around your neck. Chuchant going on to say, wow, Sri Lankan bowling on fire. They
Sri
didn't start
Lankan-
with spin, show, but it looked so strange.
I have actually missed the most of this innings because you summoned me on the
Oh,
in the 11th hour, and
so I
was stuck in
basically
Bangalore
gave him a
traffic.
last minute notice and then he's just quickly
I have to
cabbed to office.
rush to office, but
It also shows how hardworking you are, to be fair, on a Tuesday.
yeah, I
I
have to
mean,
do
for him to reach, for him to reach the office so quickly, maybe it's not the usual traffic day in Bangalore.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, Sahil saying 152. I think Vasant said 135. So he's being pessimistic.
And there is a
And
six.
Hooda now has gone into overdrive, at least momentarily. He's got the first 6, at least of his innings, the third of India's innings.
But I definitely think that this pitch has had some grip. I mean, if you look at the dismissal of Surya Kumar Yadav, it was also on a slower one where the balls seemed to have, just gripped on the pitch a little bit, and then again with
Samson?
Samson's dismissal too.
Nice. Oh, by the way, we have the third man in terms of our
Stats
stats
man
man,
is
Anirudh, joining us. Anirudh, first and foremost,
one
a happy new
more.
year to you as well. But one second, before we get
New
to
Year,
you, we just
okay.
have to
It might well be 168. It might well be 168.
It might
as
be
Sanket
168. And you know the weird thing, Sanket said 168 after he went, disappeared for 2 minutes. So maybe he had a quick call with the Rahul Dravid gang out there in Mumbai. We're just joking. Anirudh, Happy New Year, bud. How are
Happy
you?
New Year,
And talk
bud.
to me about
Happy New Year
the
to you.
India
Happy
East
New Year to
stats.
everyone as well.
What about the India East stats? What do you have for us?
Okay, so if you remember, KS Bharat was called up as Vrithiman Saha's backup in 2019 for the Indian squad, if I'm not right. If I'm not wrong, sorry. 2019. So that was the season where he scored a lot of runs in India A. So 2018 he scored 700 runs with 2 centuries, and 2019 he scored 626 runs with 3 centuries at an average of 41.7. So that is the reason why he was called up as a wicketkeeper. And he made his IPL debut in 2021. He was already traveling with India at that time, before the 2021.
All right, my bad. But why is his first class average is in
Uh,
30
well,
30s
basic.
37
So
38?
basically, after having these kind of seasons, no, so in 2020 and in 2022, he hasn't had that great of a season. So in 9 matches, he has 38.8, 30.9, and another one probably around 39.2. So these 2 seasons, maybe, I mean, these 2 years, he didn't have that great of a season. But
The
as
first
he has
time I
been
heard,
traveling, but as he has
yeah,
been
the first time
traveling
I
with the
heard of
Indian
players,
setup, they're ready to take him in.
he played, I think if I'm not mistaken, he played against Australia A in that A series in 2018 and scored 100 in that match that India
Yes,
won.
exactly. Yes, yes, yes.
That series was drawn 1-1, and that was series was actually the making of Usman Khawaja, the subcontinental batter.
Yeah,
So,
subcontinental batter.
so basically, all these things have been seen by the team management. It's not just been a one-off, and I agree with that because at times you think, okay, someone like an Akshay Wadkar is a great point, who's been racking up the runs, but has no chance of getting into any of the formats right now unless he gets some sort of limelight in the IPL.
You
And
know
the
the
IPL
thing.
essentially is the holy grail.
The worst part about why I always mention about Akshay Wadkar is, like, that guy, he has played almost around 40 matches and he averages 58, and he has got 2,300. And
But
most
Ani,
of
is
his
he a one-off, or don't you think there's so many more Akshay Wadkars in our country that no one knows about because they're not playing the IPL yet?
there are no wicket keepers who has been performing that great. There are no wicket keepers. I can guarantee you that. You can name any. I'll tell you, everybody averages below 40, 38, in somewhere around that range. And if you see Wadkar plays most of his game in Vidarbha, which is a raging turner. That's a
Yeah.
raging turner. So you need a batter who bats well against spin. You don't have anybody apart from Shreyas Iyer. And the worst part is he's not even considered for India A. He has not even got an India A cap.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have to really just take your heart out of these lads who tirelessly work themselves up, and it's maybe a time coming for the boy inevitably somewhere. But someone's time is definitely happening right now in terms of the Wankari, and that is
That was a
Deepak
poor
Hooda.
ball, actually,
It was a
from
poor ball. It was a
Sri Lanka to
long
finish.
hope, 100%. But Hooda now is kind of
And
reaching Sanket's 168. It's honestly ridiculous. Wadkar is India's BJ Watling. He gets those tough runs. But BJ Watling at least played for New Zealand. Wadkar is like a mile away, maybe 10,000
But
miles
Vijay
away.
Watling also had to wait a long time.
Yeah.
Not to make his New Zealand
Correct.
debut, but to just
Or even
cement his
even
spot
a
in the side.
Pujara at that point in time had to wait for a long,
At
long
that
time.
time, so everyone had to
no.
wait.
Pujara didn't have to wait long time. He didn't have to wait
Yeah.
long time.
He made his debut as a
I mean,
Some would
specialist.
say Surya Kumar Yadav had to wait for the long, long time.
I think
I accept.
Surya blossomed a bit later, but I mean,
Yeah.
if you have to talk about players who did not get a look in just because of that Fab Four time,
Oh, 100%.
I mean, Amol Mazumdar is
Good shout.
a good
Yeah,
shout. I mean,
Amol Muzumdar is a very good shout.
Badrinath played very few games.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, lots of comments coming through. Keep it coming. Keep the love coming because it's Tuesday. But we want to get interactive with all you guys and subscribe because we're 18.5K strong thanks to you guys. And we want to get 20K as soon as possible. Predictions wise, everyone's had their say. Ani, I don't think you've told us your prediction. Tell us your prediction, then we'll catch you in
Much
the mid
easier
innings.
for him
Prediction.
to predict now.
172.
Oh, so Ani is better at
Aag laga
Sanket.
di bhai, aag
That's
laga di bhai,
insane. That is absolutely showing cojones, which we love. Thanks, Ani. We'll catch you in a bit. And in the meanwhile, I just want to ask Gurkirat and Sanket about Akshar Patel because he
Should
found
get the strike
himself
to the
playing the T20 World Cup when people didn't see him in the starting 11. What do you think stands for Akshar Patel the next World Cup? Do you think he'll still be part of the T20 scheme of things just because he can do all these three things and he pays a left-handed tax?
I think for a World T20 in the Caribbean, I think Akshar Patel would be a very good option. I just think they threw him to the wolves with the World T20 in Australia, where neither his bowling nor his batting was suited to those conditions. Like his
Nicely
ball,
played.
Yeah, but what happens if Jadeja comes back, which is an inevitable fact?
No, I think Akshar Patel is easily a better option than Jadeja in these conditions. He's a better hitter of spin, and his full length hitting has improved as well. And he's by far the better T20 bowler. So
Yeah, but this
and I
is
think
Jadeja we're talking about. Sanket, come on.
focus on focus on Jadeja's workload because he's
Yeah,
getting on.
I know that. It's
He
just that
has
in my mind, I know we have so many kind of cricketers of this ilk, of Akshar Patel, Krunal Pandya, Ravindra Jadeja. I would not say Abhishek Sharma, even though he does pretty much all those three things. How do you guys, see Akshar Patel in terms of the hierarchy? Gurkirat, do you think,
So
like, you agree with Sanket? Do you think he's better than Jadeja?
yeah, so there was a reason why I said that I'd have Sundar at 7 and Akshar at 8. Because for a
Okay.
World Cup in West Indies, where the pitches are going to grip, I'd rather have two accurate finger spinners over a wrist spinner, both of them who can bat. So,
Yeah.
if I had all three available, I'd still go with Sundar and Akshar ahead of Jadeja, uh, especially given the conditions. If this World T20 was say happening in India or maybe in England, where you know, especially in India, not all pitches will grip. If this World T20 was happening in England, where pitches are not going to grip, and you know that pace bowling is going to have an effect, then I'd still probably have Jadeja as a number 7 because of his game against pace, and then maybe have Sundar at 8. But if it's a World T20 in West Indies, I'd have Akshar and Sundar. Also, Jadeja would be 36 by then. He turned
I know
34 in
Jadeja will be 36, but he makes it look like he's still a 29-year-old in terms of being impeccable on the field, and he's upped his batting game.
Not really. If you see post the Sydney Test match of 2021 in January, he's missed so many games. He's been out of the side. At that point of time, it was a thumb injury. Before that injury as well, he got injured in that T20I in Canberra, where India had a concussion sub for him,
Yeah, but
and Chahal
I think
played. So he's
I think
had his injury issues as well, and so he's had an elbow issue as well, if I'm not wrong, and an arm issue. So I don't think that India really need to play him in T20s. If they actually want to elongate his career, they should actually try and preserve him for Test matches, where he's very valuable as a number 7 and is a lock, regardless of, even if you play a Test cricket in in Mars or Antarctica or wherever.
Yeah, yeah.
They just
No,
still number 7
spot
in
on,
Test.
spot on. I fully agree with those points, but I feel that Jadeja sometimes might have a selection bias if he's fit and firing.
The
Use a Delhi
bias will be
Capitals
there.
fan.
The bias will be there, and again, it will be a mixing of formats. But for a World T20 in West Indies, I do think both Sundar and Akshar are ahead of Jadeja for those number 7 and number 8 roles.
When people, in terms of backing Akshar's case, would say, don't you remember that partnership with Lalit Yadav to get past Mumbai in the IPL game
Jadeja is still a better
against
batter.
West Indies when he finished things off, against
Yeah,
South Africa as well?
I agree with all those things, but Jadeja, I feel, is a better batsman than Akshar, and it will depend on the team combination actually who will get the nod first. Because if you need a batting uh, all rounder, then Jadeja for sure. But if you want someone at number 7 or 8, as a Gurkirat mentioned, then Akshar definitely is a better bowler
No,
than.
but the way the Indian selectors will look at it, it'll be like, okay, fine, Jadeja, Akshar. Jadeja wins as a batter, Akshar wins as a bowler, and then in terms of fielding, Jadeja wins.
But just imagine if you already have a number 6 batter in your side,
Yeah.
who have cemented his position at number 6, and there is actually no way that you can bat Jadeja in the top 6, then it is actually no point of playing him ahead of Akshar. Akshar then becomes a better choice because at 7 he will be more useful as a bowler than Jadeja.
Yeah,
And
but
Akshar definitely is a better
in the T20
bowler. Yeah.
international scheme of things, don't you think India still don't know their number 5?
I think Hardik Pandya is a lock-in almost because
No, I'm saying maybe Pandya is 6 or whatever.
No,
Pandya's
no,
5.
I don't think Hardik's suitable for number 6 as well. He's best
Hardik
suited
is
to be at
I think
5
in top 5
because
for sure. At 6,
because
he
Hardik's
will.
game against pace, especially against back of length pace bowling, isn't the greatest anymore. He struggles.
Yeah, so why don't you just bat Jaddu at 5? He can bat, he can bowl,
But Jadeja at 5 again, he can get strangled by spin sometimes.
all like
So
that.
that is Jadeja's drawback as a batsman.
Batter.
If he sorts that thing out, then you can even bat him at number 4, because then you will have a left-hander
Correct.
in your top 4 or
And the
top
cry
5.
and the hue and cry have always been, oh, India's top 6 are all right-handers who can't bowl,
That is
apart
an
from
issue, bro.
Hardik.
Yeah,
So
that is an
Jadeja
issue.
solves that problem.
Jadeja
Two
will solve,
problems.
but yeah, for that he will have to improve his hitting game against spin. Oh,
Short.
short ball.
Speaking of hitting game, Akshar has got that right, and he's hit that, what, just around
I said 144
square
there,
leg, deep
141
square leg.
already. Yes, as I said, 10-15 run हमेशा ऊपर बनते हैं मेरे
Ridiculous.
predictions
So
में.
maybe Gurkirat's right, to be fair, I think, because he's 14 away, and India 141 for 5 with 10 balls to go. Or maybe Sanket, I don't know. Sanket's still 27 runs away from his particular prediction. Vasan Narang, we're going to say, why not adopt England's approach of tit for tat? Kohli is useful in England in the World Test Championship, whereas India, we can swap him for good spin hitter. We can't use the approach and continue to be rigid. Vasan, it just comes down to India understanding their philosophy, them willing to change their certain processes and protocols of picking players. It's not as simple as that. I mean, what you're saying, yeah, makes sense, but it's never going to happen in a million years in any team. How can you just make? We're just asking for basic roles defined for players. Now he's breaking it down to certain conditions in outside Asia. Do you think that that's the way the game should progress?
I think it will eventually also. I mean, in Test cricket, that can happen as well. I mean, 2 years back, I wrote an article about why condition-driven selections might happen in Test cricket as well. My prime example was David Warner. Actually, at that time, because David Warner is a beast of a batter in Australia, but if you are traveling to say India or England, which Australia is going to do now, I don't think he's the best batter on given his
Susceptibility.
yeah, against both spin and swing bowling as well. So I think that will eventually come down to that once teams are able to look past the star status of the individual in contention. But as I said, I mean that has to come, that has to happen at some point of time.
At some point in time, yeah, I think it's a good point to make. I think India also maybe weirdly have subjected Hanuma Vihari.
And to be honest, I also doubt Kohli's how I mean I'm going to get bashed again, but
doubt Kohli out there.
But how good Kohli can be, as he has said Kohli is useful in England in WTTC, but the way he had been getting out, driving the ball, I'm not sure that if he's a good choice for the English conditions as well. So I mean. For a player,
his average will of course tell you otherwise, but Shub's going with a recent.
Not average. I mean, a recent 2-3 years. If you see, I mean, again, I had written off Kohli a while back, and he actually, played the innings of a lifetime against Pakistan.
So you're hoping reverse psychology.
Yeah, hopefully it works. I mean, we all would like to see Kohli. He's in the twilight phase of his career now, and we would love for him to. Bid a debut with a bang.
Oh, for sure. Chachant going on to say, before BGT, we need to drop Pujara and Kohli and get batters who are good against spin. Puji and Kohli would be a flop show in BGT in probably their last Test series.
I think Pujara is a very good player of spin bowling, bro.
Pujara,
here is
something on Pujara.
Gurkira, just 1 second. Here is a stat. Pujara has scored 531 runs. I'm sure it is 500 plus runs against Nathan Lyon, which is the most number of runs scored by a particular batter against a particular bowler in Test cricket.
Wow.
Though he has been dismissed 10 times, but the average is still 50 plus for Pujara against Nathan Lyon alone. So, I mean, Nathan.
So we talk about bowlers having bunnies as batsmen. What's the opposite?
Yeah, I mean, just Pujara likes to face spin, and he likes to face Nathan
Lion Dasher.
So Lion Hunter. Here's something on Pujara. Pujara, in his last 11 Test matches at home since the beginning of 2019, averages 30 at home, and since the beginning of 2021, he averages 27.8 against left arm spin. But still, Lion's not a problem in that respect. If Australia do play Agar or Kunman, then it could be a problem. But I'd still play Pujara. My problem with Kohli, the Test match batter, is that he's tried to become another Pujara. You look at Kohli's best knocks. You've seen that even in the toughest of conditions against difficult bowling attacks, he's come out and looked to attack. You look at Perth 2018, or you look at Edgbaston, or you look at uh, Johannesburg 2018. Uh, Difficult conditions, regardless. Vizag 2016. Even in
Yeah,
difficult conditions, Kohli's look to put the opposition under pressure by attacking them and looking for boundaries. I think Kohli's after the 2018 overseas cycle, I think Kohli's now look to value his wicket a lot more, but that really hasn't helped him because uh, he now Kohli now to score a test century needs to bat 200 220 balls, and when you bat so many balls, your chances of getting dismissed as well increase, because at the end of the day, on difficult batting pitches, and India don't play on easy batting wickets at all. Like India, I think, consistently play on difficult batting pitches more than any other team, and against deeper bowling attacks. So given the kind of conditions that India play in, if you're only looking to bat time, it's not going to result into big runs, which is why Pujara scored a century almost after 4 years. And it's not that Pujara was not batting well. He was batting decently. He had 1450 plus scores before scoring that century. So I think Kohli's now tried to become another Pujara, and I'm not sure it's going to work too well for him.
Yeah, I think he's
take
become
that
far
comment,
less
please.
busier as a batsman as well, because there's of course intent involved. But I think I completely agree with Gurki. As big as a Kohli fan as I am, I just feel like he's been valuing his wicket even more and invariably getting the odd one to get him out. Introspect going on to say Dravid was poor versus Bounce, but he was never dropped in
That
South
is not
Africa
true,
and
bro.
Australia.
Dravid was excellent versus Bounce. Dravid was, in fact, India's one of India's best batters overall against
100%.
short ball and stuff. Where Dravid struggled was high pace balls which were bowled in that channel just outside the
Correct. Which
off
each
stump.
shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think even in South Africa and Australia, where Dravid has a mediocre record per se,
South Africa, he's poor.
he
South
yeah,
Africa,
South Africa,
he
he
averages
averages
21,
somewhere
29.
around 30, and against Australia, in Australia, his average is still 41. But
What
I don't
is
think I don't think even in those countries he was getting out to short balls. He was playing the short balls quite well. He was able to duck them, sway away, and pull them quite well. But yeah, it was those high pace balls bowled in the
In that
channel
channel
where
of
he used
uncertainty.
to struggle, which can actually happen with any
Oh, for
batter.
sure, for
Yeah,
sure. One
what
second, guys. Sorry
surprises
to
you?
just.
What
Sorry,
surprises
sorry,
you the
Gurkira.
most?
162 for 5 is what we've ended up with, which is 7 past Gurkira's prediction, 13 past mine, and
18.
I don't know how many past Shubh's, but Gurkira's come closest. So well done to that. And let us know if you guys think India have now done enough to, of course, defend this 162. And I asked Gurkirat about 20 minutes before, if you guys were watching, you'd know, if he would be happy as an Indian fan if he got a 160. Well, Gurkirat, are you? Did they surprise you?
Yeah, I don't think from 94 for 5 India would have done much better. I think these two, it's something that we have spoken about before as well, that
Hmm.
against fuller lengths and against spin bowling, both of them do have the shots, and Hooda showed that as well. So did Akshar. But yeah, I still don't think, regardless of their batting today, that Hooda should be number 6. Akshar, I can understand being a number 7, because his value as a batter isn't that great if he's batting up the order. So I'm still okay with Akshar at 7, but I do think that Hooda needs to bat higher up.
Okay, we'll see how that unravels, and hopefully Huda bowls as well, because like Som was mentioning earlier, Sri Lanka have a lot of left-handers, and that'll be interesting to see. Speaking of the man, he's taken a little coffee refreshment and be back. Maybe I can make a little dash down for I was going to say the cancer stick, but I'm going to, of course, keep my vacancy up. I'll be back in 10 minutes, and then we can dispel some Thailand tales.
10 minute इतना लंबा
I mean, not that much, but like maybe 5 minutes.
मैं उठ के गया बदल गया
I'm actually, like I think Gurkirat said, I don't think this match has done actually much. Like it has helped India much in finding a good number 6, because the situation that Huda came in today was not really a number 6 situation. It was more of a number 4 situation where I think came in around the 10th or 11th over mark and faced a lot of spin. And even at the depth, Sri Lanka were bowling spinners. So I mean, for a World T20, even though it'll be in the West Indies where the pitches will grip, but you'll still have to face teams with better pace attacks than Sri Lanka. So again, this match might not necessarily be a good representative for what
This
constitutes a good
series in
number
that
six.
case.
Yeah, I mean, because after this performance, I don't see India tempering with Huda's spot.
Yeah, they are going to give him a long rope at number 6, but it all depends. I mean the availability of their first choice players as well.
Doesn't Aksar against pace, his hitting reminds of Irfan Pathan?
Similar.
Uh, uh,
It's similar.
yeah,
Yeah.
the extension of arms and all.
Gurveer, I mean, ahead of the show, we were just discussing when Ishan Kishan not ahead of the show. I mean, just when we started, Ishan Kishan played this pickup shot. I mean, who? I mean, we know a lot of lefties, him, Jay Surya, to play this pickup shot, but there are not many righties who do that, right? I mean, we just have KL Rahul who
Rahul.
plays that pickup shot.
Yeah, I'm
Rohit
just trying
Sharma?
to think. I'm just trying to think what could be the reason for that.
Yeah.
Could it be because right arm pacers actually bowl a lot leg stump deliveries to the lefties, because there are not many left armers who
Yeah, but then
does it to
shouldn't
right-handed
righties
batters.
hit left armers like with
Depends
this
on the
through this
line.
pickup shot?
But again, since we don't have many left armers, we don't see that more often. But it is just me trying to come up with the best possible explanation right now.
Is it actually true that there are more left-handers with just more pickup shots than right-handers, or is it just bias on our part,
I
like
mean,
memory
on top of my
selective
head,
memory?
there are a lot of lefties that come to mind, right?
Quinton de Kock,
Yeah,
Yuvraj Singh,
Yuvraj Singh.
Gilchrist
Matthew
as well,
Wade
though.
does quite
He
well.
was in the mix.
Matthew Wade also.
Wade.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of more righties who do that. KL Rahul is so far the only name in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, Sky at times, but his pickup is different.
His pickup is different actually. His pickup is more like a loft, like comes under the ball completely.
Rohit Sharma occasionally, I guess, probably.
So, guys, what do you think? Defendable?
I'm not so
What
sure.
about the Dew? What about Dew? Because I think the pitch is gripping a lot, so the performance of Indian spinners will actually depend. Will actually decide कि क्या result निकलता है इस match का.
I don't think it's defendable against a good batting lineup, but Sri Lanka are not a particularly strong batting lineup. Like, even though they
But
were
Sri
improved in
Lanka
recent times.
with
But India
Sri
aren't a good
Lanka,
bowling
you
lineup
don't know
either.
what.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the space attack and I have like
A lot of doubts.
lot of doubts. I mean, I wanted to say zero confidence, but then थोड़ा harsh लगा मुझे.
And we actually thought the same when India played Sri Lanka in that Asia Cup game. India had 170 on board, and we thought, okay, this should be enough. But Sri Lanka just chased it quite easily, I guess, if I don't remember wrongly. So I
Stat
think
on
Sri Lanka has a chance.
So just a stat that I read. So in the 7 T20Is previously at 1KD, only twice have teams batting first successfully defended it, and both the totals were in excess of 200, like
But I
209.
think this is a very different kind of Wankhede pitch as well.
You never know. I
Yeah.
mean, if you judge by this partnership, probably India are like 40 runs under par.
What are India's bowling options? The pacers are Mavi, Harshal Patel, Hardik Pandya, and
Umran Malik.
Umran Malik. Okay, so
India have 7 bowling options today for a change.
yeah.
But Rizwan more of has a slap than a pickup, from what I've seen.
No, Rizwan actually qualifies on this. He actually picks plays that pickup. But Livingston
No, I think
too actually. But
I think
Livingston
Rizwan.
was-
I think Rizwan would have been able to work on that shot is because for him the offside doesn't exist. So
Offside का तो
everything
does not exist.
करना ही नहीं ना कुछ तो leg में मारना है.
So I'm actually quite interested that the bowling attack they picked today, they've got 2 first change bowlers in Harshal and Umran Malik. So it's going to be. So I'm presuming Akshar will probably take the new ball, particularly with Sri Lanka having 2 right-handers at the top.
Maybe, yeah.
I
It makes
think
sense as well because the middle order is not filled with lefties, but have a lot of lefties.
And
Oh,
India
there are only two
obviously have
lefties.
Deepak.
There
Yeah,
are
yeah,
only
that's
two
what.
lefties.
Yeah.
Sarita Salanka and
And
Rajapaksa. And
Rajapaksa's
Rajapaksa
team,
doesn't have great numbers
Rajapaksa's
against
team
left arm spin.
great numbers against left arm spin. That is one of the like Pakistan fans were like really annoyed when they refused to pull Nawaz to Rajapaksa in the Asia Cup final, even though he doesn't have great numbers against left arm spin. That ended up costing them the game. So, but the general conventional thinking, and I think it's quite right as well, that you don't bowl a left arm spinner to a left-handed batsman. So,
Hmm.
Can Mavi start with the new ball because he swings it right? That is his strength basically. So yeah, Mavi and Imran Malik maybe.
Kishan is delivering the team talk. सही है भाई अगला कैप्टन.
भाई उस 200 ने तो भाई मतलब बिल्कुल ही स्टॉक्स ऊपर कर दिया है इसने. मतलब गंभीर also said like ईशान किशन should be your first choice wicket keeper and KL Rahul जो कि उसकी IPL टीम का कैप्टन है. He said he can be a KL Rahul can be a backup wicket keeper or a backup batsman. I like भाई सही है यार.
भाई वो आयरलैंड सेंचुरी के बाद इवन दीपक हुड्डा वाज लाइक 2 injuries away from being Indian captain.
Indian captain, yeah.
Gautam Gambhir once wanted Ravi Ashwin to bat at 4.
but I don't think he's wrong about KL Rahul. I don't think he should be in the Indian side. Like if they really want to win a big
ODI
tournament,
side he was talking about back then. What do you think about that?
I
KL
think
Rahul
even
is a
in ODI,
backup or a
I don't think even in ODIs he's in your best. Like I mean, if you're playing a knockout match and if you're chasing a big total, is KL Rahul the man you want to see in the middle order? Like as an opposition fan, I'd probably be quite happy to see him. Honestly,
Maybe.
it is,
I mean, it's
I mean,
tough to say because from what I've seen, KL Rahul actually has nailed the number 5 spot for some reason and he's played with freedom. But
there
हाँ,
is
come
a
the big game क्या होगा ये
yeah,
तो
that
ये
game wala
बताएगा.
factor is there actually because he always
Yeah.
looks
But
very tense.
what about that?
numbers
The
batting
point
first
of
and chasing.
Ashwin being the test captain because I was actually thinking about it and just makes a lot of sense.
I wanted that to happen. I wanted Ashwin and
Looks
Bumrah
like it
to
is very
share.
cold in Delhi right now.
It's actually getting a little cold.
यहाँ मैं एसी
Yeah,
चलवाने का सोच रहा था.
exactly.
भाई जैकेट पहन.
Yeah, so I mean the winters are hotter than the summer.
There is absolutely no signs of winter here. No
Okay,
signs.
so this is something now. Hardik could end up taking a hat trick over here. But I'm very interested to see how Hardik leads because at too many points when he was captaining Gujarat Titans, I felt that he wanted to be another Mohammad Hafiz. Do everything. Bowl in the power play, bowl at the death,
नहीं करेगा.
anchor the innings, finish the innings. I don't think it is possible, and I don't
Like
think
your
as good as the cricketer he might be that he has all the skills to do that. So
he's
let's
like
see.
your typical
Even
gully
especially when his body
cricketer.
was still on the line. Nice ball first.
We've already seen a Indian player take a hat trick today.
Oh, by the way,
Ujjwala.
on that subject, just on that subject, do you think someone like Unadkat should be in the BGT squad?
Why not?
I'm not talking about 11, but I'm talking about Do you think he can play in Dharamshala?
Again, why not? I mean, I think we've had this discussion. I would not play Bumrah in any of the tests.
No, I
To
think
keep him
Bumrah
fit
would
for
play.
IPL.
But India don't really have to, I think, because they'll still win the series. I mean, I don't think
Just
if the spinners
Australia.
if the spinners can't win India the series, I don't think Bumrah will be able to deliver the series for India, honestly. And the second, India don't really have to win all tests. The way I see the calculations going, India and Australia are pretty much locked in for the WTC final. So why risk Bumrah in this series?
Hello, pretty people.
I still think that I think
Oh,
Border
snaffle by Samson in mid-off. He had it in his grasp.
Okay, I mean, in first look, I feel that dive was unnecessary.
Yeah,
but let's see.
It looked too Hollywood for my liking. If you guys know, you know. And yeah, chance goes begging. This is the first time I'm ever seeing a cricketer playing in the Wankhede wearing an extra sweater. I mean, a jumper. Is it that? Maybe.
It's the first time you've seen Gurpreet in a jacket.
Oh my God, Gurkirat looks like a rock star. Is that Gurkirat or is that Diljit? Bro, I can't tell.
Diljit and I share the same birthday.
Oh my
क्या
God.
बात है भाई, क्या
Well done. But how cold has it got, Gurkirat? What, 4, 5?
It's 6 degrees.
It's 6
Exactly.
degrees.
all decent people are born in January.
It is probably
All decent people are on January. Rahul Dravid.
So
Yeah, good on him.
Good on Rahul Dravid to be born then.
no, but
But
yeah,
guys, what do you think?
I share my
163
birthday.
defendable?
I share
Why
my
the hell is
birthday.
Hardik Pandya opening the bowling?
Because he wants to be the next Mohammad Hafiz.
Oh
It's-
my God.
it's 26
was-
degrees here. 26 degrees
Wait,
here.
Ankit, where are you doing this from?
Goa.
Go.
Oh my God. We have a guy.
Oh, कल तक मैं वहीं था यार.
It's ridiculous. You were at Goa as well, which is good to know.
Yeah, Google was saying something. You share your
I was
birthdays
saying-
with.
I share my
Birthday
birthday with Diljit, A.R. Rahman, and Kapil Dev.
Wow.
भाई साहब मतलब elite company में हो भाई तुम.
And what is that? The 6th of Jan?
Yeah.
The 6th of Jan. It is 3 days away. So you're doing a show on your birthday?
He's not.
I'll,
He'll be
I mean, so far I
live when that video will go viral.
Deep point with Gilly cricket.
I share my birth week with Lionel Messi, Kevin Peterson, Dale Steyn, and my birthday with Kevin De Bruyne.
Kevin De Bruyne, not bad. So am you? Come on. I'll tell you mine. You'll be baffled.
The guy who played Harvey Specter.
Oh, not bad. You got the Suits inclination in you. I have Chris Gale, who's born on my birthday, and Kareena Kapoor.
देखा सारे अय्याश लोग एक दिन पैदा हुए.
no, so he
Chris
definitely
Gale.
he definitely has that sass of
Oh.
who from K3G. He definitely has that sass.
Yeah.
Introspect is also freezing
And
at 8
Chris
degrees.
Gale's partying lifestyle.
Partying lifestyle and RCB connections. Come on, can't get better. But Hardik opening the bowling. Remember, we still have Umran. We have Shivam Mavi. I'm going to be interested to see if Shivam Mavi is a pace enforcer we need in the middle phase. That's only me double guessing
Let's
right
take
now.
this question from Vasan Narayan.
Yeah. Reasons for Indian batsmen decline versus spin. You're taking any reason. By the way, let's all just answer the question right now in terms of who we think right now in T20s is the best batter, Indian batter against spin.
T20s.
Yeah. Is it a no-brainer?
Sky.
Yeah, Sky against spin? Or do you think there's anyone else out there?
Sky, Rahul Tripathi, these guys are good, and I think I'd like I said, I'd like Abhishek Sharma to carry on from where he left off in the last season, because 70 runs of 32 balls of Rashid and Narayan is no mean feat. Just for one dismissal. It wasn't that he got dismissed, he faced them in 4 games, but he only got out to them once. So
But looking at the bigger picture, guys, why is it then, as Vasant asks, do our batsmen struggle against spin more off late?
Yeah, maybe
historically as well.
Maybe 2 reasons. One is even the Ranji Trophy wickets are
better.
Yeah, they are better. They are not as
turners
that probably they were at some point of time. And B, I think the bigger reason is the players who once they start playing for India and be in the test side for a while.
Yeah,
I don't see a lot of people going back to play any Ranji Trophy cricket. So there's no avenue. Like for example, bad example, because I told on this forum that I won't do it. I'm talking about Virat Kohli, and he's not played a Ranji game for like ages. Where will he get an avenue to improve whatever he has to improve against spin in actually testing conditions? I mean, nets में तो उतना ही कर सकते हो.
So all these ODIs and T20s India have this year.
But ODI T20s में तो, I mean, they're hardly ever played on ranked hours.
Yeah, true. I mean, let's see against Sri Lanka, because Virat's in that ODI squad. So let's see how they go about it. But I certainly think that, one of the pitches is for sure Ranjis.
Yeah, but in the older era, all the players who were playing test cricket had the time to go back and represent their Ranji teams as well.
Oh, 100%. Oh, good shot, by the way. Shivam Mavi is bowling the second over and sharing the new ball with
I don't think
Hardik.
that their struggles against spin have been somewhat exaggerated by the pitches that they've been playing on at home in recent times. Like, between 2016 to 2019, when they had good pitches, like for the 2016 series against England or the series against South Africa, you did see Indian batsmen scoring big runs. But since then, they've been playing pretty much every single series on turners, like apart from maybe the
and
maybe
and
the New
and
Zealand.
I also feel somewhere if you continue to play on pitches
Yes,
where it can become a shootout between bowlers, it is bound to take some effect on your confidence. I think
yes.
you know
I mentioned that in the last.
it becomes a mental thing after a point of time.
But guys, is it as simple that okay, fine? India historically have always had great spinners. We've had surfaces which are conducive to spin. So naturally, a batter should also be well equipped to deal with spin, right? But why has that become a modern day trend? Because
And not just in Test cricket. I mean, if you think about it, even in white ball game, we don't have a lot of spin bashers.
exactly, only Shreyas Iyer comes to mind in terms of ODIs. That is.
No, but in ODIs we anyway don't look. I don't think in ODIs we have still come up with the concept where we want to bring in bashers, so as to say. We still want traditional
Okay, not
batters.
just in ODIs, but T20s as well. A T20 squad for the last two World Cups at least. I mean, hardly any player in the team was a proper spin basher, apart from maybe Sky, who still I think is more at sea
With pace. Than spin.
More at sea, nahi? More comfortable.
Yeah, more comfortable.
Yeah.
And Babu Rao's point is also a good one to add to it, and Gurpreet can jump onto this. Our obsession with Sena wins can also be the reason players who do well in seaman conditions are celebrated more.
I don't think that's
Okay, fair. Why so, Sanket?
they did quite drop. Yeah, I think Rahul Dravid took over was I think when Shreyas Iyer played that series against New Zealand and he got some runs there. But when it came to South Africa, they preferred Hanuma Vihari. But when they came back home, Shreyas Iyer was back in the side. So I think it would have been interesting to see what would have happened in England if Rohit Sharma was fit for that test. Like who would have been the batter who would have been left out? Because Pujara I think was going to play. So it would have been either one of Vihari, Gale, Iyer would have been that test. So,
Oh, what a peach to get your first ever wicket for your country. Shiva Mavi, take a bow. That was literally the cliche, the nip backer. And it's done. Paytham Nisanka here. I think Kusal Mendes got a couple of boundaries off Shiva Mavi, but Nisanka being castled in India get their first one of the night. A great delivery, and that'll do him a world of good. Because, like Som said at the top of the show, we don't know how Shivam Mavi's got into this Indian team, but maybe deliveries like those that Hardik's seen in the nets serves his CV well, I guess. But yeah, I think it makes this discussion, I should say, riveting in terms of all of those things that you guys want us to talk about. Now, I've been observing one trend, guys, and this is a YouTube cricket.com trend. We get lots of views. We get so much appreciation. We get so much love. But why can't they like the video? And why don't you guys subscribe before I melt into rants? Som, come on, echo these thoughts.
Yeah, guys, do like the video.
Exactly, Gurkirat, you got to tell all your beloved fans because you have so many, more than all of us put together.
And we're happy to take your thoughts as well on what you want us to do. I mean, except for the fact that we can't sing or dance, but I mean anything else.
We'll try. We live and try.
In terms of cricket conversation, things that you want us to do during a watch along, just feel free to throw your
This
ideas.
is your space, and when I say this is your space, basically you can have ideas which we can incorporate in the watch alongs, and you guys can be like, you know what, I had a part to play in that. So keep the love coming and subscribe, please do. And Gurkirat's on mute as usual.
I'll just take a 2 hours break and I'll be back.
Oh, okay. I thought he was going to say subscribe and all, but he's going away.
Okay, subscribe karega.
Right, Gurkirat's going to be back. Saket, I mean, honestly, I don't know if you've spread the word enough through your friends and family, but you should get some subscribers on board, lad. What's happening? He's nodding politely.
I'll try my best.
you put him on a spot.
I put you in the spot. No, but look, I think it's refreshing to see Hardik and Shivam bowling with a new ball here. Everyone would have had their money on Umran Malik, definitely. But look, let's see how it goes. Gurkirat has mass following on Twitter. Maybe he can sprinkle some on this channel.
Sprinkler chalao.
Sprinkler chalao, or do the salt way sprinkler wali thing. Hardik to continue. Okay, interesting. Very interesting.
2 overs, 12 for 1. This is the kind of start that I'm accustomed to see from India.
Oh, absolutely. Was Kusal Mendes dropped right now, or was it Nissanka himself? Mendes, right? Shelved by Samson?
I think so.
I think so. We kind of tangent in some conversations, which are
So,
good at
any
times.
any idea when you're going to announce the squad for the BGT?
For the BGT?
Not anytime soon. It's still far off, right?
Yeah.
It starts in the second week of Feb.
What is this?
Border Gavaskar Trophy.
Oh, heckers. I think it's an inevitability about it, Sanket. We all know who's going to be picked, who's not going to be picked. We can second guess it also right now if we like. After what we see in Bangladesh, I know that we just spoke about the whole spin flaws, and that shouldn't bite India on the backside, because look at those venues. They could all be kind of rank turners in their own way, apart from Dharamshala, I'm guessing. But Nagpur, Ahmedabad, for sure, we've seen that happen before. So India shouldn't kind of be given a taste of their own medicine, so to speak.
I want to pick your minds on Bumrah here. Bumrah is
back to the Sri Lanka series.
Back in the ODIs.
ODIs.
But looking at the Border Gavaskar Trophy, what do you guys think, Sanket? You obviously follow cricket from the Australian lens, Australian point of view. I mean, let's say if India pick a squad with no Bumrah in it and he's been rested for workload reasons, what would it make you feel as in terms of chances for Australia? Will it have an impact or no?
I think it would definitely improve Australia's chances without a doubt. But I think it also depends on who replaces him. Like if they're going to play Bumrah and Umesh Yadav, if that is going to be their first choice attack, then I think that is possibly the best attack that they've got. Bumrah, Umesh Yadav, and the three spinners, Ashwin, Akshar, and Jadeja. I think that is the attack that would challenge Australia the most.
Not Siraj.
But if they're going to pick Shami ahead of Umesh Yadav, and then Umesh Yadav is going to replace Bumrah, then I think that's less of a factor, because I actually think Umesh Yadav is probably India's best fast bowler in these conditions, in subcontinental conditions. And he has also troubled Australia in the past. Like, he's got a great record against David Warner. He's got a good record against Steve Smith as well. So he's someone that particularly worries me, and he's bowling really well as well. Even though he's not the youngest, but is still bowling fine. His bowling is aged really well. Unlike maybe say Ishan Sharma who's been dropped, but Umesh Yadav is still bowling fast. He's still bowling quite well. It's actually the difference between the two sides in the last series in India. So but I think the real worry from an Australian point of view is the two left arm spinners, because Australia's record against left arm spin is horrendous, like, to put it very lightly. And we saw even in the series against Sri Lanka, Ahmad Jayasuriya on debut took a 10-wicket haul, and India got two of the best in the world. So I think as long as they have those two, I think I'm finding it difficult to see how Australia can win. But yeah, I mean, the batting does give some sort of hope, with Pant being out possibly. But yeah, I think the two spinners still give India a clear edge.
Yeah, but bro, like, think about it from an Indian fan perspective. You want to see Bumrah play because we need the points to make that WTC final. So those 4 tests will be super imperative.
I was just thinking about the calculation. It is not that difficult. I mean, India don't really have to have a whitewash.
I know, true, but like, we still need to win 2 out of those 3 or 2 out of those 4 tests.
But I mean, I think it will come down to the competency of spinners at the end of the day. I don't think.
Is it about the final?
Yeah,
because I think the Border Gavaskar Trophy in itself is a bigger event than the WTC final. And if India draw the series at home, I think that would be a disappointment for them. Even though they would retain the trophy, but drawing a home series would be a disappointment for them. Like,
I get your point. I mean, in a normal year, under normal circumstances, at normal fitness levels, I would obviously want Bumrah to play that series. But looking at the larger scheme of things and how badly India were hurt because of his absence, or how hurt they will be if, let's say, he's not 100% later in the year, or probably even for the WTC final. At this point of time, see, Bumrah will always offer a point of difference, but that point of difference is much more extreme when India play overseas or India play
at home.
ICC tournaments.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't think in the home Border Gavaskar Trophy, that point of difference is going to be that big.
But he's not even, he's played 1 or 2 tests at home? 1 test?
2 to 3 tests.
That Sri Lanka series?
Series.
Yeah, that Sri Lanka series. So essentially, I know what you guys are saying, that spin's going to be majorly our weapons being used there.
But and there are I mean, like Umesh Yadav. Umesh Yadav is not your first choice pacer when India travel, but Umesh Yadav has done really well in home series. So if Umesh or Shami or Umesh or even Jade Unadkat pair up together, I don't mind. That's a very decent pace.
Yeah, but like look at how even Kohli as a test captain used Bumrah. I mean, in terms of this test bowler, is short bursts, and I don't think that would hurt India because it's going to be pretty much predominantly spin, and then maybe Bumrah for a 4-5 quick over burst. It's still kind of giving him miles in the legs. We're not overdoing it with him. We're not going to be in a situation where he has to bowl 25, 26 overs in any of the innings of any of the matches. It'll be 10, 12 overs at max.
One thing where I differ with Sumesh is I don't think India's schedule this year is particularly bad. Like after the BGT, they've got the WTC final and then the World Cup. Like they don't have any major test series. Like Australia got Ashes.
There is the IPL in the middle of it,
and an Asia Cup.
Yeah, I mean IPL is already talk that he will be managed right during the IPL. Like Australia got an Ashes in between the World Cup and the WTC and the BGT. So that is where I think Australia have got a much workload of their bowlers.
True. I mean, obviously, from an Australian point of view, things are extremely. Things are different, and that is where players like Scott Boland and even Michael Neser will come into picture. Plus, I mean, from an Indian lens, I'm pretty sure that even if there are no series that are being scheduled now, but once the IPL is over, they will have a big break for probably one weekend. But after that, India will again schedule something so that weekends are locked in. And given it's a T20 or World Cup year, that will be ODIs.
Sure. So what do you think was going to happen to the Asia Cup? Like that was going to be the major preparation, like leading up to the World Cup. But with the controversy of now it being held in Pakistan, then the Pakistan threatening to pull out if it's shifted, what is going to be the final outcome?
Final outcome is that Pakistan will just literally side with the money. And I don't want to be a biased idiot here, but I'm honestly just going with gut feel and what I've seen in the past. There have been quarrels in the past. I'm sure this is not the first time it's come up between the two boards and all of that. And I know Pakistan are back on their feet after, a little lull in the 10-year period that they weren't playing international cricket. But they'll just have to suck it up. This tournament was decided a while ago that it's going to be played in India in 2023. And India should also return the favor in many ways, dude. Like it's... Oh my God, what kind of shot is that? What kind of shot is that?
Some no-look.
Yeah, no-look top edge.
Attempted, but ended up being a no-look top edge.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. But yeah, just to come back to Sanket's point, I think it's all going to pan out well. I think we'll see Pakistan play here. I don't think we'll end up going to the Asia Cup.
I think there will be Asia Cup, but not in Pakistan.
Yeah, they'll just take it that way.
But Pakistan team will travel to India for the 50 overs.
They're going to be playing again in UAE.
Yeah, maybe UAE, maybe Sri Lanka, maybe Bangladesh.
And that's just purely because India is so powerful in world cricket. It's not like Pakistan are not powerful. I mean, just compared to India, they just don't have the muscle and the money in terms to making those big calls in world cricket. So that's how it stands. Babu Rao going on
and no one would want to miss out on an India-Pakistan game.
And no one would want to miss out on an India-Pakistan game for sure.
Also think now that with Ramiz Raja, that he's no longer PCB chairman, and now that he's back on his YouTube channel, you'll probably see him being a lot more hospitable towards India again.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that because even Ramiz Raja's axing or / dropping down from his position was really strange because he seemed really effervescent in this England tour, like he was going to make more decisions for the future. And I think they pulled the plug on him because I think he came off too heavy on this whole debate that you just suggested, the fact that, we're not going to go travel and all that stuff. So maybe bigger powers at play.
A lot of different things.
I think he's been sacked because of the results, like quite simple.
100%.
No, I think he was sacked due to the results because the results under his tenure, like in Test cricket, were terrible.
I mean, Pakistan, in my opinion, were favourites to qualify for the WTC final, and as it turned out, they did not even win a single test at home in the entire year.
And even 7.
And right now, even this test is not going well for them.
The New Zealand one, yeah, for sure. But yeah, it makes sense. Guys, just want to ask you about, just go back to that Test Border Gavaskar Trophy thing we're having. Do India have a Neil Wagner in the Test scheme of things at all? Is there a bowler who can just bowl quick around the wicket if plans are not going well?
Neil Wagner is not quick.
Like a Mark Wood in Pakistan.
But why would they need a Neil Wagner in this Border Gavaskar Trophy.
In case they just play off well in
Basically,
Australia.
I think basically what Avnish is asking is that do India have a workhorse kind of a pacer?
Yeah, exactly. Do we? Is Umesh that?
Peter Siddle.
I think India is still looking for a replacement for Ishant Sharma, and I do feel that the best person possible in terms of control right now is Jaydev Narkar,
Yeah.
because even though Shardul's improved, Shardul's never going to offer you control. Umesh in India, I don't think you need to use Umesh in that role. He's good enough in those spells of 6-7 overs where he can actually get you breakthroughs. So
He's
I
a
feel
strike
that
bowler.
sorry.
He's a strike bowler in Asian conditions, like not
Yeah,
not
so,
not a stop bowler.
yeah. That's why I said that. Do you guys see Jaydev Natkar in the squad for the BGT? Because I feel he's the perfect person to kind of do the role which Ishant Sharma used to do.
So do you think he has a single chance of playing even a match in the Border Gavaskar Trophy? We'll take a question from Babu Rao on that topic.
A, a lot would depend upon Jadeja's fitness. If Jadeja is fit, I see India playing all three of Ashwin, because in the absence of Pant, India do need to add some batting reinforcement. So
Batting, yeah.
if Jadeja's fit, I do see all three of Jadeja, Ashwin, and Akshar playing. If Jadeja's not fit, then there's a chance that Unadkat could play, because they played Unadkat in the second test ahead of Kuldeep. So maybe if they
But
go
who are
to
the frontline pacers then? Is it Umesh and Bumrah, like Sanket said before?
again, I don't know if Shami is going to be in the scheme of things, because if Shami is fit, then Shami could play as well. So it would be interesting to see. I see rotation happening for sure, and if Unadkat is there, then he might just play as a third pacer in, say, a Dharamshala.
Hmm. Speaking of pacers, Hardik has got 3 on the trot in the power play. Is he being a Mohammad Hafiz?
Hardik has got me. Hardik has taken 3 on the
Taken 3.
But to his credit, he's bowled well.
Yeah, of course.
He's bowled well, and I think it's a perfect start that India wanted in terms of defending a relatively scored.
Good lengths.
Yeah,
Good
low
lengths.
score.
Good areas.
Good areas indeed. 25-2. There's still there's no Rajpaksa today, right?
No, he's there. He's slotted at 5.
Oh, then he was just invisible on the field.
Vikram, mute the television.
Yeah, Vikram,
Like we
please.
have.
So
We're not hearing him.
we have watch-alongs purely for this reason, so that you guys don't
Exactly.
have to listen to the bad commentary.
And even though Star Sports, to be fair, have got 2 acquisitions, right, in terms of former cricket.com experts in Gautam Gambhir and Russell Arnold, all of the others are just, it's just boring. They can never say fuck on it.
Vikram, we have a proper watch-along manifesto, and there is a bullet point there to avoid Sunil Gavaskar's trap.
Oh, God. Unadkat can also do what Shardul used to do.
Used to
is the crucial word that it was Gautam.
Do you think Unadkat is high risk, high reward, or high risk, medium rewards?
Medium rewards.
I don't see the risk with Unadkat, by the way. I mean, what's the risk? At worst.
Sorry, I meant Shardul.
Shardul's definitely high risk, high reward, without a doubt.
High reward because what he's done in terms of all the memories that he can say is great. Like that England Oval Test we won because of Shardul, technically.
True. I just want to come back to the Border Gavaskar Trophy right now, and let's assume that Pant won't feature.
Okay.
That means India are losing their best test batter.
Yeah. And a catalyst.
And that is why, let's say if even Jadeja is not fit.
Yeah, then it's a problem.
Then it's a problem. It's not a problem on the bowling front, it's a problem on the batting front.
I think where do the runs
going
to come? To counter attack.
If that happens,
but what will Shreyas Iyer do alone?
Yeah.
He'll have to have 1,000 run series.
I think if that happens, then India do need to bring in Washington Sundar in the squad at least, if not in the 11.
Yeah, for sure.
I think he's the most natural replacement for Jadeja that they've got. Jadeja, the batting all round, and not so much Jadeja, the bowling.
It sort of, Aussies at this point of time will take a Washington Sundar over a Kuldeep Yadav, because ideally, if Jadeja is not fit, they should replace him with Kuldeep Yadav. But then the batting is gone. Although Kuldeep batted really well in that
Babu
game.
Rao, you naughty man. It's not right. It's not right, honestly. But he is in a way the most important test.
This Babu Rao has a similar kind of humor than like that of the one in Hera Fairy. You know.
Is that
Oh, yeah.
is that
Hey,
Sami
कौन सा
Pranjapura
नया
in
injury होने वाला है तेरे को?
is
That's
that Sami
crazy.
Pranjapura in the size, by the way?
Okay, here we go. Umran Malik, guys. Will we see 150 kilometers in the first ball? Maybe not. Just a loosener, which is a wide. So Sri Lanka 30 for 2. India also, 41 for 2 after 6. So Sri Lanka don't have to really stress out. Plus, 160 is always in the alley, as Som likes to say it. But Shivam Mavi being replaced. Umran Malik. Dude, Umran Malik, does he feature in the ODI World Cup / the T20 World Cup 2024? Right now, if you guys have to take a call. In the 15...
T20
I think the
World
word
Cup, yes, for sure. T20 World Cup, yes, for sure, because I feel pace becomes a bigger differential on slow pitches.
Okay.
Okay, I genuinely feel that his pace in the air can be a huge differential, let alone off the surface. Uh, as far as the ODI World Cup is concerned, we'll have to see a, a, a lot of the selection of who the third pacer is going to be in the 11 or in the squad is going to come down to which spinners or which bowling all rounders do India select. If India
So
do
who's the second one? Like Bumrah,
Yeah, that's what I was
assuming
going to ask him. Who's the second?
is it Siraj or is it Shami? Like who are you
I, I,
considering as the second?
I think it would be between two of them in the 11. Probably in the squad, both will make it. But at this point of time, I am a little tilted towards Siraj, but I don't think India are going to drop Shami out of nowhere straight away. They'll actually play him and see how he does. But I think Umran's selection, or for that matter, Arshdeep's selection or Prasidh Krishna's selection, is going to come down to which spinners and which spin bowling all rounders do India select, and then they'll probably take that call if we actually want to go in with an extra pacer.
Yeah, actually, India would want someone who can bat at 8. Now, will that be a spinner or will that be a pacer who can hold the bat?
But is it safe
and
to
that
say...
is where your other
Fair,
four would
by
be.
your logic and
other
Gukirat's
three.
answer, Umran Malik might not make that 11, right, in the ODI World Cup, let's be honest. So then does series like these and T20s like these make him all the more acceptable to play him in the 11, especially when it's on a T20 World Cup? Bleed him in, because you're never going to bleed him on ODIs. You're never going to, play him in a test match, of course, because you don't mix formats.
That is something I want.
You want to see him?
Want to see happen someday. How will it happen? I don't know
So
at this point.
here's another thing that I want to make want to talk about in this case of Umran Malik. See, this is an exceptional case. Umran
Yeah.
Malik has played a lot of Ranji Trophy cricket. If I'm not wrong, Anirudh's there. He can correct me if I get it wrong again. But if I'm not wrong, I think he played for India A versus South Africa A before he played for Jammu and Kashmir in the Ranji Trophy. If I'm not wrong, and that makes sense because with the pace that he bowls at, and we saw that even in the in the one Irani Trophy final that he played. Uh, if he just lands it at his pace, he's going to get wickets at the Ranji Trophy level. His pace is going to make him stand apart at the Ranji Trophy level. So players like Umran Malik or Kuldeep Sen, I think they will have to be nurtured at the international level because their raw skill alone is enough to make sure that they dominate at that level. It's something similar to what I say about the likes of Shubman Gill, Prithvi Shaw as well. Like their raw skill alone, or even Ruturaj Gaikwad, their raw skill or their game alone makes sure that the competition at the domestic level is not a factor. They are going to dominate that level of competition. So someone like Umran Malik will only be able to become a full and a final product if he plays a lot more of international cricket.
It's going to be interesting is the trajectory that he'll take, of course. I know it's a little early days and good points that you mentioned there. Pranavan saying Umran Malik and power play. Why? Akshar could have bowled. I think he's holding Akshar back because Asalanka is still out there and maybe it's a little bit too much of a gamble to take right now
I
because
think
India
if
don't
India
have a big...
if Sri Lanka would not have lost 2 wickets, then we would have seen Akshar bowl.
Yeah. And the fact that India are defending 163, so they don't have that many runs in the bank. But Umran Malik, I mean, I hope that he literally takes that whole Brett Lee path in terms of playing for India, especially in the longest format. Now, Chahal in the power play. And we spoke about Chahal earlier. Gurkiat was really kind of surprised how Chahal's starting. And even you were to some degree. But what does Chahal need to do to at least make his presence felt? I mean, apart from taking wickets. Because he's made his presence felt. I mean, that's a stupid question, sorry, because he's made his presence felt in every T20 internationals he's played for India, arguable, because he's taken most wickets, but he's still not played 2 World Cups.
I spoke because one can make their presence felt in both ways. So which way are you asking? Which way do you want him to?
Social media reels. No, but like, look, is he just kind of fighting it out with his old-time buddy Kuldeep across all formats? I mean, barring tests, of course, in whites. White ball
Not
cricket.
really. I mean, Kuldeep in T20, Kuldeep is not in this squad, right?
No.
So
No,
again,
he's not
Kuldeep.
in this
So he's the only wrist spinner right now, and have they picked
I
because
think
6?
I would like to believe that
6.
he's competing with Bishnoi at least at the T20 level,
Exactly, where the hell
and
is Bishnoi?
maybe with Kuldeep at the ODI level.
Where is Bishnoi, guys? Ravi Bishnoi? I mean, not literally physically right now, but where is he in the scheme of things? Why isn't he not even given a go in T20s right now?
Yeah, to quote this dialogue from Welcome. इसका जवाब बिश्नोई के साथ ही चला गया. Like how they say in the end, ये जो इसका जवाब तो लकी के साथ ही चला गया. No one knows. Logically there is no sense to Bishnoi being missing from the squad, let alone in the 11. And I'm just hoping that in the IPL, Zampa actually comes and Chahal learns a thing or two from Zampa. He desperately needs it, even if Zampa doesn't play in the 11 for Rajasthan Royals, because at this point of time, I really don't know. Another thing that you see a lot with Chahal is, and why there was, I think Anirudh was there, who had provided us the numbers that Chahal actually does better against right-hander, better against left-hand. Now I'm mixing or confusing the numbers. I just got confused over here. I think we were once discussing that probably Chahal doesn't have good numbers against right-handers as well. Probably Ashwin has better numbers, or the combinate. I just got it.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember this vaguely as well. I do. But what is Chahal's biggest weakness as a bowler? We know his biggest weakness as a player in the larger scheme of things is that he can't bat and he's a liability in the field and stuff. But as a bowler, is it that sometimes he's too brave?
He
No.
doesn't have the defensive options. No, we hardly see him bowling.
I
flat.
also think
But that's so
Very
surprising.
serious.
He's played so much T20 cricket for RCB, for India. He should be maturing at this stage, right? As a bowler.
I also think that both with Chahal and Kuldeep, there's a physical limitation. In both of them aren't the tallest, so extracting bounce is difficult, and then both of them also aren't the strongest. So for them, actually increase their pace while keeping the revolutions of the ball constant is something which is difficult. Which
Correct.
is something that someone like Rashid can do it easily. Rashid, even when he's bowling quicker, doesn't tend to bowl short. But with Chahal and Kuldeep, the quicker that they try and bowl, the shorter their lengths become. And I think that is purely down to the respective body strengths, upper body strengths to be specific, in their bodies, as compared to the upper body strength of a Rashid, or if I take an example, maybe a Samuel Badri as well. I think
Or a
there is
Hasaranga.
this limitation as well.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
Or Shane Warne for that.
Or Shane Warne for that matter. Yeah, it's a good point that you mentioned, because maybe it's their stature and how they are. Maybe it's because
So there's this.
they're loopier.
I don't think any of the leading leg spinners in the world are particularly tall. Like you've got Zampa, Rashid Khan, Asaranga. I don't
I
think
think the
anyone
tallest
is.
one which comes to mind right now is Ish Sodhi.
And even Hasaranga actually
Yes.
drops
Yeah.
down so that
No, but
he's like more visible
Rashid
wicket.
Rashid isn't tall, but his release is still considerably. I'd
But
say
Rashid is a
relatively
one-off,
high.
right? He's an exception. there's no other player of Rashid's kind of height who is doing what like Gurkirat just said right now in terms of being from a little creating a different angle. Oh, that's a good shot, but as he found the fielder, one pitch, one hand, nearly. Harshal Patel's playing today. I just realized because he, of course, will come into the middle overs in the death over scheme of things. Pranav Anand going on to say, and Gurkirat suddenly vanished. I don't know where he just keeps going, but Pranav going on to say it's not about only getting wickets in Ranji Trophy. Bowling more will make him bowling fit to bowl longer spells. Plus, you learn to bowl in all kind of situations, like with older balls too, bettering his radar, so on and so forth. Pranav's obviously talked about Umran Malik because Anirudh just showed up a stat saying he's taken just the 12 wickets in his 7 first-class matches. There we go. So he's played 7 first-class matches for... Who does he play for against? Jammu and Kashmir, sorry. And... do you agree with Pranav? Do you think he should play much more Ranji Trophy cricket to hone his craft more?
But time कहाँ है? दूसरे formats भी तो खेलना है ना.
But that's crazy. So apart from these odd T20s in the nets, where else is he properly applying his trade?
He must be learning here. I mean, I see. I think we can talk along similar lines for all the players, right? But see, right now, the point is.
But more so with fast bowlers, so because that's such a rare thing, talent. Oh, top edge. Has it nicked Spider Cam? Oh, that's a gem of a catch. Maybe one of the catches of 2023, certainly so far, because even though there's less to choose from, what a catch that is.
Yep. Catch of the year so far, yeah.
So if Rishabh Pant doesn't play the Border Gavaskar Trophy, Ishan Kishan.
Chill kar bhai, aisa test match mein aisa top edge wale.
Do not mix formats. Do not. But yeah, Gurkirat, what a catch that is, dude. They're all they couldn't believe it. They actually couldn't believe it. Let's watch.
I think now their main batter will be coming in.
Oh, the man who killed us off in the Asia Cup. Or taken Ishan Kishan.
If you talk about bowlers and especially players who can just see, when we talk about mixing formats, we usually talk about batters.
Yeah.
But think about someone like a Jasprit Bumrah. He's actually on one skill alone. He's an all-format player.
Yeah.
And at least till this injury, his workload was very properly managed. I mean, only playing overseas tests, only playing marquee bilaterals, and of course playing all the games of the IPL.
Yeah.
So, looking at Umran Malik, things can be done in a very similar manner because I think the point that Gurkirat mentioned earlier, there is a raw skill of high pace, which not a lot of other bowlers in the country have.
Yeah. Or the world at this moment in time.
Yeah, and this is where probably what needs to be done.
So replicate a Bumrah kind of workload management.
Exactly.
Like how England play Mark Wood. Mark Wood doesn't play consistent, 2 tests in a row. He doesn't play 2 tests in a row for England.
So basically, pick and choose when you want to use Umran Malik as a weapon. Maybe pick him for conditions which are more conducive to pace.
But that won't happen right now. I mean, India will not start doing it right now. I mean,
Correct.
He just had one decent IPL season where he was used as a middle over enforcer. He was not bowling in the power play or the death overs because... So, I mean, those are 2 more difficult phases of play.
Oh, 100%.
So,
but,
I mean, let's
but Umran Malik, the test bowler, for sure. But Umran Malik, the test bowler, the conversation will only arise once we're going to Sena countries and West Indies. Because any domestic match, any home tests, we wouldn't want him. Because there'll be 3 spinners.
I would actually put Arshdeep Singh in the same bucket.
Okay,
because of his skill levels.
Because he can move them all.
The point is, 2-3 years down the line, even in the red ball front, India would have moved on from Shami, probably Umesh Yadav, and your ace spinners as well.
Yeah.
So they will have to obviously figure out other ways to win test games.
Yeah. And I think because we're so blessed to have so many kinds of bowlers like this, it's vital that we actually kind of just shoehorn them in for certain series and not overdo it. Speaking of one man that we've shoehorned in by the looks of things, at least, is Harshal Patel, who's going to be bowling his first over of the evening. And I don't know where things stand for him as well, because, Sanket, talk to me, dude. Like, Harshal Patel had a great season with RCB. Then he, of course, had an injury. Then he was part of India's plans, part of Rohit's 12. Didn't get a single game in Australia. And do you think that'll be deja vu again when we talk about West Indies? Or do you think, no, because the conditions suit him more now, Harsha's definitely playing that
अभी
World Cup.
अभी से बताओ 2024 में क्या होने वाला
Yeah,
है?
I think Harshal Patel, just like Akshar Patel, I think it was a little bit unfortunate that the moment he became a fixture in the T20 side, they were playing a World T20 in conditions which were probably least conducive to his style of bowling. So I actually
Yeah.
think it's not a bad idea that they've actually persisted with him, even though he was
Oh, he's
non-factor in
gone.
Australia.
He's gone. He's got a wicket. There's something about him. Sorry to cut you off, Saket, but a slow off cutter, smash straight to deep point. Not with Gilly Cricket, but with Sanju Samson. So I had to crack that joke. Deep point. Get in there. But yeah, and Hardik has a really good question. But Sanket, just finish this point on Harshal Patel, please, and then we'll answer Hardik.
So I actually think that I think it's quite impressive in a way that they've not just jettisoned him like in the wake of the mass changes that happened after the World T20, where even Bhuvneshwar Kumar was dropped, but they've actually
Yeah.
kept Harshal Patel in this scheme of things. I think that is probably because they recognize that his skill set is ideally suited for a World T20 in the Caribbean, probably even more so than for in a tournament like India, where he's done well in the IPL. But I think his skill set would probably be even more suited to conditions like the West Indies, where you'd have most of the pitches that grip. Whereas in the IPL, you still get good batting services. His best IPL came actually when he played in the UAE, and in the Indian leg, he played a lot of games at Chepauk, if I'm not mistaken. And those are the kind of surfaces that you'll get in the West Indies as well. So yeah,
That's what I
it's a
keep
good
kind of
call.
saying in terms of an RCB fan as well. Harshal Patel did only well because he didn't play the Chinnaswamy that season, and there was so many times he was getting wickets in the fag end of the overs and the death, of course, and where batsmen were just probably
As far as
taking it to long
Chinnaswamy is
run, long
concerned,
run.
I still think that there are valid concerns over his abilities at bowling on flat wickets. Although he did well last season in Mumbai, like in Maharashtra, he did all right. But yeah, I think on flat surfaces, I think what we have seen in T20 internationals, like over the last few months, he's been targeted a lot, especially by left-handers. He's been getting hit consistently on the leg side. So I think that is definitely a concern for an RCB fan, like playing your home games at the Chinnaswamy with those short boundaries. Although I
For
don't think the
sure.
Chinnaswamy pitch is as flat these days as it used to be in the peak Chris Gale era. So yeah, I think that's something for RCB to consider.
Yeah, and Harshal Patel, the thing is, even though we know that he has variety, and that's not something that you can say about the other Indian pacers in that category, and plus that he knows how to bat a little bit, has gone in his favor. But the one stat which went against him, maybe, at least in his Australian T20 World Cup thing, was that he conceded the most amount of sixes for a bowler in T20s in 2022. And maybe the management are thinking, no, we have Ashwin and Akshar and three proper quicks and Hardik, so they don't need someone like Harshal. But let's see, he might be really handy on those surfaces in West Indies. We'll answer Hardik right now, which is a very good question. Why do quality all-rounders make good captains, gents? Imran Khan, Kapil Dev, Ben Stokes, possibly Hardik. That's because they're more influential, especially as leaders. Som, Gurkirat, and then Sangeet. Som?
See, if you're an all-rounder, your place in this team is almost certain.
Yeah.
Because it's a rare commodity always. And
True.
These are like the gunnest of gun.
And because you do those three things, you just are
and
best.
you are more in the game, right?
Yeah.
And if you're more in the game, you're more involved.
Yeah.
You actually read the game from both perspectives, because if you are an opening batter and if you're dismissed in the first over, you really literally just switch off for the rest remaining
100%.
overs, depending on irrespective of whatever format you're playing. You just have to field and just wait for the ball to come to you. Captain will anyway take call. But if you're an all-rounder, you're
more
be involved in both facets of the game, and that is why you tend to read the game from both situations.
Yeah, but like in terms of their tactical abilities as leaders, is that just a coincidence that all-rounders...
Yeah, I mean, because the list this is a list of, I mean, the greatest players of all time.
Of all time. And you could probably add Richard Hadley in that list, even though, did he captain New Zealand?
I don't.
No, maybe not. Gurkirat, what do you feel? Do you think all-rounders just have something about them which make things work better than batting captains or bowling captains?
I think it is obviously one is that you understand the execution part in both the skills. Sometimes I think I keep saying this, that what differs a fan from probably a good cricketing pundit or a commentator is that you understand the difference between execution and ideation. Sometimes players have the right idea, but the execution can go wrong. So I think if you are an all-rounder, you actually both bat and bowl. You understand how sometimes the execution can go off. So I think if you understand that, then you also understand what a player might be going through. That I feel might be one factor in terms of making someone a good captain. The other is that I just think that a lot of captaincy is about ensuring that your decisions are actually enhancing your team's chances of winning. As long as you're doing that, I think, and I don't think that you necessarily need to be a a single skilled or a multi skilled cricketer for that. You just need to have a good cricketing acumen. So maybe an all rounder, because he's always in the game, probably develops a better acumen than maybe someone who's just a batter or a bowler. I don't know. This is something which only cricketers themselves can answer for. But I do feel that when you are an all rounder, you understand the difference between an execution and an ideation part in both the skills much better than what you would do, say, if you're a batter or a bowler.
Is it that obvious, Sanket, as Gurkirat has put it?
Well, I think the points that both of them have made actually make sense. Like, purely from a technical point of view, a batter, like an all-rounder, understands both batting as well as bowling. So he would understand, like, he would probably be empathetic towards like both the sets of skills, and in that way he would probably be able to take better decisions. Probably give a longer rope to a batter who needs it, because he knows what it feels like to a batter. And likewise for a bowler, like having a bad day, an all-rounder who's a frontline bowler will probably be empathetic towards him as well, knowing that cricket is a fickle game and that you can have a bad day. But I think just again, I'm not really sure whether this is actually a long-term trend, because I think you mentioned like 3-4 all-rounders, but there have been plenty of all-rounders who actually been notoriously poor captains as well. Like even you mentioned Imran Khan and Kapil Dev, but even in that era you had Ian Botham, who was not a good captain, and his captaincy tenure turned out to be one of the worst in England's history. Then you have Andrew Flintoff, who was billed as Botham's successor, as a captain, and he didn't turn out to be a good captain. He was appointed captain at his peak, and then that eventually was actually the beginning of his decline as a cricketer. Even the great Gary Sobers was not a good captain for the West Indies. Like, he's probably the greatest all rounder of all time, and he's probably the only really genuine all rounder out of all these guys. All these others are probably batting all rounders or bowling all rounders. Sobers was like a proper batter, like averaging 60
Yeah.
plus in Test cricket, and who also bowl with the new ball. Like, he was a genuine all rounder, and even he didn't turn out to be a great captain. So I think there are, like, it ultimately comes down to the individual as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, I mean, purely if you view it from a logical point of view, I do think that an all rounder is probably better placed to be aware of both the disciplines than the others. But again, I think ultimately it's just about how good you are as an individual, how much of a cricketing acumen you have, and again, how you are as a person, because I think that also matters. Like, if you're a person who's always, quite fidgety, someone who's restless, then you're always going to make decisions which are probably a little bit hasty. Like, I think Virat Kohli was probably guilty of at times in limited overs cricket, whereas there are certain other captains who are a lot calmer, and they just, let things be, and they often get the job done under these pressure situations, which is one of the things that has been attributed to Rohit Sharma's success in the past, although that was not the case in the recent World T20, where his attitude was questioned, and like he was shouting at his fielders and all those sort of things, and he
Yeah.
was getting frustrated
Yeah.
at not being able to get results. So ultimately, I think it comes down to the individual.
On the person part, now there is something that I have to say. uh, I'm not followed Faf du Plessis as a captain tactically a lot, but I, my impression of him being a good captain isn't there. I don't think he's a good captain, because on more than a few occasions I found him to be making excuses, because in the World Cup it happened that he was making excuses about players playing the IPL, of someone dropping a catch, etc., etc. He did that in the very first game of the IPL last year, where he actually threw a youngster under the bus for dropping a catch, wherein despite dropping Odian's catch early on, Bangalore bowled quite poorly in those last 3 overs. So that person point also is something there. I don't think someone who actually is obviously always all the time looking for some kind of an excuse will make for a good captain as well.
I think it comes down to leaders, guys. Ultimately, we can even state the example of Graham Smith, who we spoke in cricket.com. Sai Bhargava has mentioned a man who we've also worked with on cricket.com, Dan Sammy, who's one of the underrated leaders in modern day times. Angelo Matthews comes to mind with mixed success.
Even Sikandar Raza.
Sikandar Raza as well.
I just want to make a point on Ian Botham. So, I mean, if you read some of his colleagues or hear from them, it was more of a case of actually not because he was so talented. He found it very difficult to actually accept that people can't do something that he can.
Yeah, exactly.
And that actually made him not a great captain.
Correct.
Plus also his lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, he can be a person who can actually party a day before the game and can still deliver on the field, but obviously the entire squad can't be like that. And if you as a leader are not okay to change that lifestyle,
that's a problem.
It's pretty difficult. And there's something that even Andy Flood said about Alistair Campbell, though Andy Flood was much more talented. But then he felt that when he stepped down and Alistair Campbell became the captain, he saw him being much more comfortable with the players around. And that is what made him a better captain.
Yeah, I think it definitely comes down to comfort. And you guys have touched upon it in various examples in terms of backing players. And I think because all-rounders see it more so in all three facets. It was a good chat, good questions and good interaction in terms of Sai as well. So halfway mark, Sri Lanka 66 for 4. They need less than 100. And Harshal Patel is going to, of course, be playing a huge part in the scheme of things in the next 9.5 overs. And so is Bhanuka Rajapaksa. Remember, the last time Sri Lanka played India in a T20, they beat us in the Asia Cup. So this is being dubbed as a revenge series. And I want to also show you guys some key matchups that you might see potentially. Dasun Chanaka versus Harshal Patel in T20s. Now, not that much to choose from, but look at that. But just look at that.
20 ball, 50 runs.
20 ball, 50 runs without being dismissed. That's a joke.
But these are two best batters in Sri Lanka's lineup, at least
exactly.
in this format.
And they have the vice captain who's coming in next, Hasaranga. So potentially they're fully trained.
They've still got 3 overs of Chahal.
Yeah, they got 3 overs of Chahal.
They've still got 3 overs of Chahal. And Shanaka is terrible against leg spin. Like his numbers against leg spin are absolutely horrendous.
Can they sneak in an over from Deepak Hooda somewhere?
No, I don't think they're going to risk that. But on the other hand, Rajapaksa has good numbers against leg spin.
Think so.
But see, even if say Sri Lanka,
but I think it's still worth taking.
See, even if Sri Lanka has say 60 to make in the last 5.
One second, hold on, Gukia, because there could be a wicket here, and there is Hardik getting the catch, and that's the big wicket of Rajapaksa. And Hardik has gone down now, but he's having a smile on his face.
No, I think it's a cramp.
He's straight away pulled up.
I think it's
maybe a little cramp. But Harshal has got 2, so he's amongst the wickets. Umran's got 1, did he? Yeah, Umran's got 1, and Mavi's got 2.
Catch of the year.
So all wickets falling to pace, and Sri Lanka find themselves in a hole. But Hasaranga is still there, and Shanaka's there. So it's up to the captain, vice captain right now. Let's just quickly take a look at this replay, guys, because Hardik takes a catch comfortably, but I think he lands awkwardly, or is it just a moment of cramp? It doesn't matter. No, Hardik, it's a World Cup here, says Pranavan. And don't worry, we're all just watching with bated breath. I think he'll be fine. Yeah, but that was a good plan. Do you think that was an intentional plan, guys? Keep mid-off up and tempt Rajapaksa with Harshal's pace? Or do you think, again, it just looks good, all these things?
Actually interested in from getting our statsman in and looking at Hasaranga's number, because I've seen off late, his batting numbers have dropped. I mean, when he started his career, he used to play those blinders.
Those little cameo gems.
And everyone was wondering that, is he batting like way too down? But off late, I mean, I've not seen him really deliver with the bat.
Yeah, even for RCB, I don't remember one single time delivering. I don't know. Ani,
maybe obviously he's delivered at the LPL level.
Recently,
I mean, LPL,
almost.
It's a joke.
Played a great knock against Afghanistan recently. Like terrible situation.
Sorry?
If you're talking about Australia, I think he just recently played a great knock against Afghanistan, like in one of the ODIs.
He played
terrible
one
situation.
In an ODI, correct.
Asia Cup final, he made an impact with the bat.
Yeah, Asia Cup. He was given good support from Rajpaksa, but yeah, Rajpaksa. I mean, he played second fiddle to him, but like he's still kind of got some runs amongst it. Anirudh going on to say,
Sky is the captain now.
Sky is the captain now. Anirudh going on to say, I guess they should try
just going back to
Shankar.
the-
T20s has an average of 8 with 8 dismissals at 20 against off spinners. Really? Wow.
So I
I
think
didn't know
this, going back to the
Harika's
comment
weaknesses are spin.
that Jai Shah
Yeah,
made
go back.
about having probables of 20 players for India for the World Cup. So, like, is Rishabh Pant included in that? Like, how is his fitness expected to be for the World Cup?
I think with the punt thing, they'll take it one day at a time and assess. I don't even think they're confident for him to play the IPL, which is a big thing. So he obviously is ruled out of the BGT by the scheme of things. Because, dude, like if it is a ligament tear, that itself is 4 weeks. That means no prep for the Australian series. That means not going to be there for the entirety of that. And then maybe he might just play half the IPL at best. But I don't know. So Shubh should tell us. I'll just quickly go have like a 5-minute dinner. Have you eaten? When you want to eat? Okay, I'll make a quick 5-minute dash.
What do you have for dinner?
I've actually, dude, I haven't eaten Indian food being in Thailand for 12 days. Gurkirat, I'm having dal, chicken, zira rice, a nice kachumber salad, everything. Everything, bro. I mean, I'm not as privileged to have rice and noodles in the same plate as you.
I guess they should try Hudda. Okay, I was about to read the comment when the comment went
Chahal has just put in a dive.
सही बात बहुत गुस्सा है अभी.
So do you think Sri Lanka still has a chance or something, or this match is done and dusted now?
Pretty much done and dusted. Last partnership maybe.
What a dive though.
And the worrying part is Chahal has just bowled 1 over. So I mean that confidence thing that you're talking about, this over could probably have been Chahal. I mean he's a specialist spinner, so might as well have him bowled to 2 right-handers.
Yeah, exactly. अगर 2 righties को ball नहीं डालेगा तो डालेगा किसे फिर यार?
Oh, we have Anirudh here. So Anirudh, talk about Hasaranga, the batter.
So, in T20Is, in 43 innings, he has an average of 13.9 and strike rate of 120. So, probably if I go by year also, this
Middling.
year, in 2022, he scored like in 2021, 196 runs, 154 runs, below average of 15. So
what was his best year as a T20I batter? Or is he more?
T20
Has he done better in ODIs than
His
T20?
best format is actually ODIs.
Yeah, like his best of year in T20I was 2021, which was he scored 196 runs at an average of 14 and 121 strike rate. So does it make sense?
That's a peak. That's a Basra of 135.
Yeah, that's all. And in terms of ODIs, yeah, in 2021 he scored 356 runs in 14 innings at at an average of 27.4 and strike rate of 94.7.
Which has been the highest strike rate year for him in ODI.
I mean, like, no. In 2020, he batted 58 balls, so 129.3. But this year, his strike rate and average has been excellent. Like 126 runs he has scored at an average of 42 and 143.2 strike rate.
So this year, you mean 2022?
Yeah, 2022. Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean,
I'm sorry, I'm forgetting 2023 has turned out. Yeah.
From numbers, it looks like he should be able to translate the batting performance in T20I as well, but has not happened so far.
I think it's largely down to lack of opportunity, because as a number 8, number 7 batter in T20Is, you really hardly get any deliveries to place, whereas in ODIs he gets a bit more of a time.
Yeah, but
so I
I'm
think it's a
actually
little bit hard to judge him in pure numbers.
I'm actually it's tough for me to actually think about even one impact knock from in T20Is from him. ODIs maybe.
Asia Cup final.
That I think I did not recall it. Sanket did, so maybe it's just me. But then again, I've seen at times him coming to bat before the 15th over and yet not chipping in. So maybe
that depends upon what is the frequency of that happening. I don't think that it has happened a lot of times.
In the 2021 World T20 as well. played a few good innings in the
Ireland.
2021 World T20 as well.
Against
I think he
Ireland,
won
he
them that
batted
game
well.
against Ireland when they were like lost 3 early wickets, and he came at number 5 and took them to a match-winning total. And then
Because these
played some
numbers
handy
make him a
cameos
number
against, I
8
think,
and
in the
not a number
England match.
7. Your number 7 should do a lot more in
Yeah,
T20Is, in my opinion.
I think even Shanaka is not a number 6. I
Hmm.
think
Yeah,
he should be
Shanaka is not actually.
Yes, yes, because he can't play spin.
But
He just simply
but
cannot play spin.
on that note, which is Chanaka's stronger suit? Is he a better bowler or is he a better batsman?
I think he's
Better
probably better
batsman,
batsman.
definitely.
He's an elite all-rounder who can be a good captain.
A
He
bits and
stopped
pieces
bowling.
all
He's
rounder who
not
can be a
bowling
good
that
captain. So
frequently
basically,
now.
modern day Darren Sammy.
He's not bowling that much now.
Yeah, he's not bowling
Only
that much, and we just established that number 6 is a bit too high for him as a batter. So that actually,
Yeah,
brought that question
actually,
to my mind, that which is
the
the stronger suit then.
no, I actually
his
think the Sammy
batting is his
comparison makes
stronger
a lot of
suit.
sense
Uh-oh.
There
because
is no
if
doubt about it. Oh,
Sanju
Sanju
Bhai not having a
Samson.
good day.
I think the Sammy
It's weird for our
Cool.
player.
Thanks,
because
Anirudh,
like
for those
even
numbers.
Yep.
Is Darren Sammy Nikhil? Yeah, I just said it is a modern day Darren Sammy right
I,
now.
I just hope Sanju's not done
yeah,
his knee hair.
So every time, whenever a player
I think
dives
he's
and
still
he rolls over his knees, that thought actually comes to our mind, whether irrespective of the fact that the player has a knee injury history or not. But that is, I mean, this is we have seen it so often, players injuring their knee in this way, that this thought actually comes to our mind. Oh, not.
Hmm. Does anyone have the energy to take Nikhil's question?
Yes, I do.
Obviously, who else? Gurkirat, come on.
So I think firstly we have to acknowledge that baseball is something that has arrived out of desperation with all the conventional methods failing. It's one thing. It's for a reason England have adopted this because they've realized that their batters haven't been able to succeed while playing Test cricket in the conventional manner, and to account for that baseball, they actually had pitches which were a lot flatter than what you usually get in England. In fact, even the Dukes was going softer much before than what they would otherwise. So that is one. I think they've realized that they they don't have the batters who have the pedigree to survive in difficult conditions while defending in test matches. So that is one. They've acknowledged their shortcomings and they've looked to maximize their strengths. That is one. The other, uh, is it attack just no matter what? No, I don't think so, because if you look at the way Bairstow batted in the home season, uh, his first 100 in Edgbaston versus India, he did not look to take on Shami or Bumrah. He attacked Siraj and Shardul. Uh, even in the second innings when India had that spell where they got 3 quick wickets, he did bide his time. He actually took some time to reach his first 50. After that, he exploded. So it's not just attack no matter what. I think it's more about maximizing when you can attack and which bowlers you can attack. And the pitches in Pakistan, along with the bowling attack in Pakistan, has actually helped England. I don't think it is possible for any cricket team, any international cricket team, regardless of what format it is, to outbat England. I think if it becomes a batting contest, 9 times out of 10 you are bound to lose it to a team like England. I don't think any team can win a batting contest with England. Uh, with England in any format. And I say this even in T20s because if say India's T20 semi-final against England was happening say in a Perth or a Gabba, maybe India would have had a better chance of beating England. Adelaide with short square boundaries, India's chance was next to nothing, and it went down even further when India batted first. So I think these are the few things. I am not so sure if it is still a strategy that will be successful in all conditions. I don't see it being successful in say uh, in in say India on difficult pitches, or I'm not even sure if it will be successful in test matches in Australia. Maybe it will be successful in Adelaide or Sydney. I'm not so sure if it would be successful in a Perth, Gabba, or Melbourne. So that is there. Lastly, I think what it has also done is it has it has it has sort of tempted teams to play in that manner. I think Pakistan have tried to replicate that, but I don't think all teams can replicate that, because what England are doing is something that comes naturally to them. If India try and do that tomorrow, or if Australia try and do it tomorrow, or if some other team tries to do it tomorrow, I don't think it will have a similar level of success. It's
Hmm.
also their opponents out of their comfort zone, because their
Yeah.
opponents are being forced to believe that maybe this is the way you can also play, but I don't think that can happen.
Yeah. So I mean, you've already given the
Yeah.
more tactical side of it. In my opinion, baseball is not a strategy but a philosophy. Of course, I mean they don't call it baseball, but what they're trying to do is not a strategy, and there is a subtle difference. So Brendan McCullum has gone on record to say that uh, he wants to do things for Test cricket and ensure its survival. And he felt that because England spent so much, I mean, England play more Test cricket than most of the other nations put together. So England is a place which can actually contribute to the survival of Test cricket. So what the England style of play has done is have more eyeballs on the game. That is for sure, irrespective of the results. You, if there is an England test on and
You will
there is
watch it.
other cricket on, you will definitely switch on England's test. And B, I think Stokes has bought into this philosophy because it's about actually expressing yourself and enjoying when you're playing. Because, and this is again even Stokes has hinted at, there is so much cricket. So I mean, the teams are playing literally bilaterals after 3 days after winning the World Cup. So I mean, the players are just reduced to robots. There is no place where they can actually just express themselves, and that is where this thinking is coming into picture. That go on, just enjoy yourself. We'll figure it out. Now, this has happened in presence of Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes because of a couple of reasons. A, McCullum in his life is already a very secured person. I mean, for him, even if he would not have gotten the England job, it was not his loss. I mean, he already had other things to do. He was already with KKR, and he's not insecure about his place as an England coach or whether he was going to get that or not. And same applies with Ben Stokes. I mean, he's at a position as a cricketer where he has nothing to lose, and this is where they're like, if we have nothing to lose, let's just do this. Let's just make it entertaining. And the third and the most important aspect about this philosophy is that it is not just a batting philosophy. It's a bowling philosophy as well.
Yeah, in terms
mean,
of field settings and
Field
stuff,
settings, attacking, having catchers
Yeah,
on
has
every time.
I pretty much agree to everything, but I'd just be very interested to know what would the reactions be in the English cricketing circles when,
That's
say,
different. That's
when,
different. That is very
when
different. I mean,
yeah.
see, I totally agree.
You
That
rightly
this is
mentioned that
something
as of now they have nothing to lose. You've
yeah.
rightly mentioned that.
And this is where obviously fans and pundits and everyone, even the ex-creators are different, because I don't think a Mike Atherton or a Nasir Hussain, let alone Sunil Gavaskar, can actually understand what a cricketer of this day and age is going through, because their times are different, these times are different.
Sunil Gavaskar is not a good example anyway.
I just wanted to cover the entire spectrum, and that is why I mentioned, I named two elite people and then Sunil Gavaskar. So
I think firstly, I think when you're talking about baseball, I think you just have to divide it into like two parts. Firstly, I think the series against New Zealand that they played, it was played on some really flat surfaces. Like I think Craig West said that it was the lowest amount of swing and seam movement that was generated
New
like
Zealand had three bowlers and Michael
in
Bracewell.
England since, and they had Michael Bracewell. They were actually a bowler short in both of the first Test matches. They, I think, lost Kyle Jamieson due to injury in one of the tests, and they lost,
yeah,
I think, Trent Bolt, or no, I think for someone else. But they lost a bowler in both the tests, and then I think in the last test they inexplicably went a bowler short in the first place. So that was quite baffling. Secondly, the series against Pakistan. Now, if you see the series between New Zealand and Pakistan, even New Zealand have been scoring at over 4 runs and over against Pakistan. So I think that puts into perspective like the quality of the Pakistan attack and the pitches that they've been producing as well. Like it and as Gurkit mentioned, I think what they did, England did, was I think they actually just got into Pakistan's heads, where Pakistan would actually been playing like traditional Test cricket against Australia. They were actually like very very difficult to dismiss, and they were only lost the series on the final session of the final hour on the final test, and then they were just throwing wickets around for fun against England, against what I think on paper and even like on quality is a much inferior attack to what Australia had. But against Australia, Pakistan played proper Test cricket. Like they played what they knew. Like I wouldn't say proper Test cricket because I'm not saying what England are doing is improper, but they played a style of cricket that was actually well suited to them.
Attritional.
But
Attritional
when
is
England
more
came,
like.
and because of this superiority complex that Ramiz Raja or probably the others have, they probably thought that they can outdo them and they can just try to emulate their style, and they just got sucked into it. And it turned out to be an absolute embarrassment, and they lost 3-0 to an attack that they had absolutely no business losing 3-0. I think England were probably still the better side in the series because, again, I think they had a much better pace attack, and Pakistan's bowling attack was absolutely horrendous. But they definitely shouldn't have lost 3-0 on those pitches. Like it should have probably been 1-0 or 2-0 at max, like it was against Australia. And now again, they've actually continued the same philosophy even against New Zealand. Like if you see the scoring rates in this series have been actually been quite high. So that baseball effect is actually just sort of filtered down to the next series as well. And both the victims of baseball, like Pakistan and New Zealand, are actually trying to out baseball each other in this particular series. And the conditions again have been conducive to that. The other series that they played against South Africa, the first test they lost. They lost quite
Yeah.
badly. In the second test, they had a collapse, and then Ben Stokes actually had to
And,
shed
and,
the
and South
baseball
Africa
model.
opted to bat. I mean, for no reason, and they
Yeah.
played Simon Harmer and
South
misread the
Africa
pitch
also
completely.
had, again, that was another side effect of baseball when I think Dean Elgar was asked about baseball before the series, and he said that we don't care about it, we don't particularly think highly of it, and he actually backed it up and on the first test, and then in the second test I think he probably wanted to show that you can beat England batting first as well because all their wins had been coming while chasing. So he probably wanted to show that you can beat England batting first, and then he batted first on a seaming wicket and just got rolled over. But even then, they were actually in the game, and then Ben Stokes and Ben Foakes had that partnership wherein they both scored
They
hundreds and took England
actually
to safety.
batted
And that
properly,
was
like.
not that that was actually proper like Test cricket, like traditional Test cricket. And Ben Stokes batted like how he used to bat in 2019 in the Ashes, where he took his time and
Yeah.
then exploded and took on his favorable matchups like Maharaj and Harmer, and actually was quite circumspect against the seamers who were getting assistance in the surface. And then the third test again, that was a pure bowling shootout. Like no batter from either side actually scored any runs
Any
in that
side, yeah.
test, and it just turned out that South Africa had Rabada, who was quite leaky and bowled quite badly, and England had a relentless attack who bowled really well and did not give any looseness. Like they had Anderson, Broad, and Robinson, all of whom were really accurate. Whereas South Africa had Rabada and Nokia, both of whom are not those kind of typical English conditions type of seamers who bowl in that channel. They both try to buy wickets, and that's not a good approach when 200, 250 is par. And we've seen that even in this series in Australia as well. The first test in Gabba, they were eventually too expensive. So I think so far, I think the sample size for baseball is that they've played two series in conditions which were like highly conducive to baseball, and another one again, which again against an opposition which had a really really poor batting lineup, and one match where they actually had to shed baseball. So I think you probably have a more conclusive answer by this time next year. They're probably touring India in Jan 2024. Before that, they've got a home series against Australia. That is where they'll be tested more against a wider range of opposition and in wider range of conditions as well. And if and I'm not saying that they have to win those series necessarily to say that baseball is a success. I think it's already a success because they're getting much better results than what they used to. But whether it is this some sort of revolutionary philosophy that everyone needs to follow and that everyone is playing Test cricket the wrong way for the last 145 years, and now suddenly the magic formula has been discovered, or whether it's just a happy coincidence of a few favorable circumstances aligning together, I think that is something that we will know in due course of time.
Yeah, I think the marker of success, I mean, not success, I mean, success in the eyes of pundits maybe would be the next two Ashes and the home series against India, because I feel I mean, everything. I think if you're an English fan at this point of time, you have your eyes set on the away Ashes.
Home Ashes as well, because they haven't won in home Ashes since 2015. So they would be like कि चलो पहले घर पे तो हाथ में आए, उसके बाद बाहर जाके देखी.
No, but I mean, away Ashes they get embarrassed so badly that.
Yeah, for sure. But again, पहले एक बार घर में तो
away
that
Ashes
is also
is not a
embarrassing कि घर
competition.
में भी.
Away Ashes is a formality. It's not a competition. I mean, it is what it is.
At some point, England will have a team that can challenge them, because 2010 they actually won, and if they can win, then why not once again? So I think the next Ashes in Australia could be a really good one, but that depends upon that depends if their current fortunes persist by that time.
Yeah, for that they can't have Chris Wokes as the third pacer in Australia.
Actually, yeah, they cannot actually, but I think they have more Australia friendly resources now. From if you compare it from before, I think if Jofra Archer is there with them in their next home in their next test series down under alongside Oli Stone as well, so maybe they will have a bowling attack that can challenge Australian batters as well.
Any combination of Robinson, Wood, Archer, and Stone would be competitive in Australia. But I think the reason they lost the last Ashes was their batting more than the bowling, because the bowlers still did well in a couple of tests.
In fact, I remember Stuart Broad also said after he took a 5-wicket haul in one of the games, and after the day's play, he also said that there is no point in a bowler picking 5 wickets if the batters cannot score more than 150. So I mean, that quote from Broad actually summed up the whole Ashes series.
No, Oli Stone is one bowler who I was quite excited for when I saw him bowl in that Chennai test, because he was actually getting the ball to actually do a lot. And Rahane actually, to his credit, played him quite well that day on the first day of the second test, but unfortunately got injured. And then since then he hasn't played a lot of cricket. But I really liked the look of Oli Stone.
It was quite impressive in the recent ODI series in Australia, even though the numbers are not great, but he was actually putting quite well.
So my question here now is to you guys is that if India win, if India win, what is it that India are gaining out of this T20I? Like, what has India gained out of this T20?
Akshar Patel the finisher.
Mavi
the new ball bowler.
But again, any kind of conclusion.
Hardik the power play bowler. Hardik the skipper.
I think one thing which is becoming evidently clear is that they need to move on from Yuzvendra Chahal.
True. I mean,
and especially when you have an option in Ravi Bishnoi. I mean, I would have understood if there were no options at all, but you clearly have a bowler with a lot of promise that you are neglecting so far.
At this point of time, I don't understand how finger spinners can do worse. I really don't know how Washington Sundar can do worse than Chahal at this point of time.
But are you saying that only for T20Is or for the ODI World Cup as well? Because I think they probably do need a wicket taking overs in ODIs.
I'd probably want them to give someone else a go in ODIs as well. I'm not so sure if it's going to happen, but
so who would be your pick?
I'd like Bishnoi to get a run, or if they don't want to invest in Bishnoi, then I'm fine, because I think if India, say, if in the ODI World Cup, if India play at, say, Ahmedabad or Chepauk or Hyderabad, I think on these three venues, even Delhi maybe, I think on these 3-4 venues, India can still do decently with two finger spinners. I don't think you necessarily need a wrist spinner. Probably if you say play at better batting wickets, say an Eden Gardens, I don't think you can go in with two finger spinners. I don't think you can go in with two finger spinners at Chinnaswamy. I'm not so sure if you can go with two finger spinners in Mohali, because sometimes the pitches can be too flat. So on these pitches, okay, you do need a wrist spinner, which is why I'd like someone like Bishnoi to get a run. But at this point of time, I don't see how Yuzvendra Chahal can do a lot better in ODIs, or I don't see him as a guaranteed wicket taker in ODIs as well, because he also looks short on confidence. I think not only the confidence of the captains are missing, but even his own confidence seems to be down at the moment. I think like dropping Yuzvendra Chahal is the best thing to both Yuzvendra Chahal and the team right now.
Yeah, with each passing game, Chahal's case is becoming weaker and weaker.
Just again the same thing. When you have a good young option, then why not try him? It's like there is nothing to lose, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and the upside is massive. Ravi Bishnoi, I mean, the kind of a leg spinner that he is, he is the closest thing to Rashid Khan right now in terms of bowling style alone, not the caliber, but yeah, he's someone that who bowls a flatter trajectory, who bowls a lot of wrong ones as well, and he can target the stumps consistently if he can control the amount of spin that he generates. So, yeah, I mean, I totally agree.
Do you remember the percentages? Because I know you did an article, but do you
Yeah,
remember the percentages of these numbers, if it's possible?
I
A
won't remember
ballpark.
the percentage, but I can.
Maybe Anirudh can find and
Yeah.
dig it up again. With that, I think when I left my seat when India were batting, things went positively. I should do that again. Since
But
the
don't you think
the game is running close?
Don't you think if India lose this game, they will have a lot more to learn from the game than
Yeah,
they
better
I
to lose bilaterals, and then this is where India get blindsided by all those
Yeah,
bilateral
exactly.
wins. With that, I'll take the leave. I
So I
think
think
by the time I'm back, this game would be done and dusted.
if the
Good
assumption
to have
if
everyone.
the assumption is that now that it is like all but certain that
Not
Hardik
easy
Pandya
to
is
do.
the new permanent T20I captain and not just a stand-in captain for this particular series, like is he going to have the same degree of faith in Yuzvendra Chahal that Rohit Sharma had?
Hmm. Yep.
I
Only time will tell. With that,
Only time will
Avnish,
tell. And you know what? Another thing about the time is the question that we have in the comments.
What
right
time
now.
do we
What
guys
time do you
go
guys go
home?
home? At midnight, mate.
Interesting.
Rohan.
Sometimes after that, and if it is the IPL final, then you will be staying till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. like
No,
it
we've
happened
done
this year.
watch-alongs which have gone beyond normal time, and sometimes we invariably go up at 12:31. It's a late night drive back
what is
home.
going to what is going to happen during the World T20 in West Indies?
Oh my God!
Games beginning
That
at 12.
reminds me of my
Jet lag.
days as a news broadcaster when I was working for these news channels, and man, West Indies was ridiculous. I'd go to office at 7 in the evening, and I'd go home around 5 in the morning. It'd be a joke. Honestly, it would be 7 to 5. but
They'll make sure
vice
that
versa.
You know what's
they'll
what's
make
what's the
sure that all
worst?
the India games are in daytime.
What,
Sorry, what did you say?
what's the worst part about this for Avnish?
Shot.
1 second,
It's-
Gurkirat, because Umran Malik has just been
He
planted.
totally used his pace there, man. Just did this, whipped it
We were
across
talking
the
about
line.
pickup shots earlier. But yeah,
34
sorry,
off.
Gurkirat, what were you saying?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying that the worst part of this kind of a work shift for you is that you can't do any parties.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, with all the parties that I've just done in Thailand, I'm so kind of content in life right now. Pun intended, content. But literally,
Nice.
what a wild time, dude. Thailand, if you guys ever want to go, just go. You're going to go absolutely berserk. I've been there before, but this one was slightly different.
Every
Did a lot of diving, explored the marine life. It was quite beautiful. So if you guys really fancy that, you should go. Shubh will
I
fancy
really
a
don't know,
lot of
like
other things in Thailand.
what
Sorry?
has suddenly sparked about this craze for Thailand, like only this year. Like I think 50% of my Instagram has been to Thailand over the last 6 months.
Legalized
Like I don't know.
Yeah,
right?
obviously
what
they've
has changed from
legalized
this
it for a certain thing, and it's not like I'm saying yeah, legalized for life, but it's a valid point. I think many people are kind of a little bit more freer in Thailand. The last time I went to Thailand, Sankeet, was when it was a little dodgy to get like what you need, but right now it was honestly perfect. And
Depends on what you need.
yeah, it depends on what you need. But yeah, great stories which I will share to Gurkirat once he's here and not on a watch along. But I'm sure all these viewers are like, tell us more, tell us
We
more.
will meet him at the end of this month, right?
Yeah, at the mid of this month, he's actually going to be here, 17th of
No,
Jan.
probably both in the mid as well as the end.
Oh,
Oh,
that'll
But
be
nice.
regarding the
crazy.
World T20 regarding the World T20 in the Caribbean, I'm sure Gurkira that all the matches in the Caribbean will be in the same time as what we are having the Indian matches here.
Yeah,
They'll have the first match of the day. That will be
yeah,
the
100%.
match that
I mean,
India
look at
plays.
even the CPL, right? The CPL literally is like an Indian broadcasting.
What?
The CPL,
Uh-huh.
I think
like they start the game
all
7:30
the
p.m. here.
Yeah, but they
all the
tried
Indian
it.
matches in
They
the
tried to sell it to
20.
the Indian audience as well. But again, if the pitches are so slow, I mean, no one is going to be
Yeah, that's true.
interested. So
1 second, there's a review
this is
here.
not out.
All
अरे
the Indian
क्या
matches in
इतना
the
time
2010
लग?
were daytime broadcast.
Yeah.
No,
1 second,
he's not.
Subhash Chandra Bharata is going on to say Shanaka's 100 times better than Cam Green in T20s. Agree.
How much of Cam Green we
No,
have seen in
no.
T20s actually? Because
Did Shanaka got picked up the auction, right?
no,
Wow.
unsold.
Wow.
DC should
That
have
is
picked him. DC, instead of having four overseas players who can bat in the top three, should have actually gone for him.
actually, nah. That's actually a good shout, dude. DC should have gone for Shanaka.
I
I
think
don't
he
think
should have gone for
because
David
I think he has the
Villa.
same problem.
Sorry, Sanket.
No, I still don't see how he fits into an IPL 11 because I don't think he's not someone who can bat in the top six. I think as we already discussed, he's more of a number seven and he's not a fifth
He's
bowler.
not a reliable
So
bowler
I
anyway.
know,
he's
but
a
there
bit
are
of a
few
luxury
instances
player.
played in T20s which just give you some sort of a hope as a Shanaka fan, right? Or no?
So here's the thing. I don't think that he's necessarily a better batter than someone like a Robin Powell at six. But I do think he's a better bowler than Robin Powell and will probably be more handy for the balance. So that's that, because I wouldn't want I
I
wouldn't
think
want a situation I wouldn't want a
I think
situation
the
where
player that
I wouldn't want a situation where Mitchell Marsh has to bowl 2 overs in a game and the next thing you know he's out for 2 weeks with a hamstring.
But Mitch Marsh or Shanaka? Mitch Marsh wins 100%.
Which Marsh 100%, but I'm
I mean,
just
Because
saying.
of the batting pedigree, right?
Yeah,
Sorry,
Basically. Because of the batting pedigree. I think Shanaka is a better
I think
all-round
the
cricketer, I'm sure.
I'm
Or
not.
no?
See, for
Catch
two,
that goal! And that's the wicket we needed. And the man that we've just been speaking about, Dasan Shanaka, departs for
bro,
45.
well played to Shanaka as well.
Very well played to Shanaka because he's
He actually
given Sri
made a
Lanka a
He
sniff.
has actually made a match out of
He's
it.
made a match out of
we
this.
actually thought that it is done and dusted already, but
Yeah, that's quite
terrific
crazy.
stroke play as well.
I think the player that I think probably is the player
Go
that I
on,
would say is
Sanjeev.
probably the closest to Dasan Shanaka, otherwise who has been playing in the IPL in recent years is James Neesham. Like he's a somewhat
Yeah,
similar kind of cricketer, bats at a similar position and not a 4 overs bowler.
Yeah, that's a
yeah.
good shot. James Neesham for sure.
But Gurkirat, we were ranting about the fact that how this team will fit in Manish Pandey. What will Manish Pandey do with DC? I think he is our replacement for Rishabh Pant, if you think that way, because you need an Indian batter, and Rishabh Pant, if he is not able to
What?
play in IPL, Manish Pandey is currently the only option we have.
I know, but like there's Yash Dul.
See, I don't know what he will offer to IPL. So I mean, it is very tough to say. And
Sarfaraz?
Sarfaraz was already in my 11. Actually.
Oh, he was already in your 11.
Yeah. So Rishabh Pant goes out. There is a space of one, and I think the DC will start with Manish Pandey.
That's insane.
that
I mean, this
what
option.
I think
it
they're
also
playing
means
Manish
is
Pandey.
what it also means is that Phil Salt will play. Phil Salt playing means
Yeah.
that one of Marsh or one of Powell goes
I
out.
think Powell will
And
sit
whoever
out.
plays
Marsh is a
that
better
sort of
bowler.
position. Sorry,
Sorry.
I'm
That
saying
makes the decision to let go of that makes the decision to let go of KS Bharat even more strange because
Yeah. Now
they
I
actually
feel
got him
I
for a good
really
price
I
and
wish
he would have been
we
a perfect
had
backup.
KS Bharat.
Oh yeah, KS Bharat would have been a good
no this
Not
team.
like
part-time fit.
not a like for like, but yeah, he would have been the best fit actually.
Oh,
DC could have
100%.
opened with him as well. So
Yeah, everyone's going mad in the comments. Trujan, Gary, everyone's saying 155 kilometers by Umran Malik. We've seen it
we have
before, but
seen
we're
it
seeing it for the
before
first
now.
time today. So yeah,
I will
we
feel
can.
that way the emojis that he has put when he clicks 160, which I think he will at some point
160,
because he's
lad.
still very young and the pace is very
Oh, for sure. Anurag Jha, I don't know if you guys, you particularly are tuning in for the first time. Really appreciate the comments. Subscribe and tell a friend. He goes on to say, Gurkirat, Sanket and Shubh, I think it's better to have all the fast bowlers than having spinners. I don't know what does spinners having in your team even doing. I think he's anti-spinners. Is he a spinnist? Is he a
But you do
spinnist?
need spinners at some point. I mean, there are pitches which will help spinners a lot more than pacers, and of course the matchup things that you can counter with spin. And I mean, finger spin can give you control. Wrist spin can give you wickets. I mean, why not? I mean, spinners are important. He really jumped the gun
Oh,
there,
100%.
I feel.
On the contrary, Vasant Narayan saying pace is pace here. That did double Shanaka. He couldn't execute it properly. Yeah, I mean, true. But like Shanaka also, like, I understand the idea in his head because look at the offside field at the time he got up. Mid-off is in the ring. And of course, the two close-in fielders. I think his idea was just to go inside up, but Chahal had that under control. Now, Shiva Mavi is
Will he
impressed.
pick a fourth? I think he
3
will
for
pick a fourth.
20. Where does he sit? Like, which group of pacers does he join? Is he in that Shardul, Harshal, Bhuvi category, or is he in the Umran, Arshdeep, Bumrah, Shami,
I think
Siraj category?
he's more in the Shardul category
Okay.
right now, and a big reason why he got this game was because another seam bowler who can bat. It's just as simple as that for me. And just another desperate option that India are looking for to fill that gap.
No, but how good is he a batter? Are we talking Harshal Patel good, or is he talking equal or worse than Harshal
See, I
Patel?
actually rate Harshal Patel's batting a bit high.
Okay.
Not very good, but yeah, he's a pretty decent batter.
Yeah.
Although we have not seen the same on our TV sets because he has not batted a lot for India, but for a long time I've been saying that he could be RCB's number 3, and they have not used him at all. So I actually rate Harshal Patel's batting quite good. Mavi, I have seen him bat only a few times, and he actually seemed like a batter who can get nicely behind the line of the ball. But how effective he can be in terms of strike rate, that I cannot say because I've never seen him hit the ball far as yet. But he knows how to bat, and if he comes out to bat for say at a score of 44 for 5, you can think of him that yes he can maybe contribute those 20-30 runs which will help the team to get to 150.
Yeah,
So he
Som
can
said
be
his
that kind
IPL
of a
striker
batter.
is 95. Gurkirat and Sanket, let's take one from Subhash Chandra Bharata, who goes on to say, who's your man of the match today? I would go Deepak Hooda because of his point of difference in the end. 41 of 23, 4 sixes, 178 striking, whatever. Is that an obvious, or would you give it to someone like Mavi if he picks up a 4-4? Or even if he doesn't?
I think Mavi for me. Mavi, I still think this was a below par total. So I think it has to go to a bowler.
Oh, fair. Okay, you look at it from that lens. I think Hooda
I will
maybe.
give it to Shivam Hooda or Deepak Mavi. I mean, that would be a pretty good option. But I think the award is going to go to Shivam Mavi.
Gurkirat, you agree with Shubh? Deepak Mavi, Shivam Hooda?
I think Mavi will get it, but
Which Mavi? Deepak Mavi.
Shiva Mavi will get it, but I think Umran's also got a good shout given the kind of wickets he's taken and at what times.
Maybe.
But again,
Oh, Deeksana has gone down the ground and long off.
See, I told you he will get his fourth.
He's going to get his fourth. Potentially, he has a chance to get his fifth there. Shiva Mavi, fourth.
Now the man of the match award is he.
Economy under 6, 4 wickets. It's done and dusted on that regard.
Dude, I was looking at his IPL record before he bowled a single ball in this match. 32 matches, 30 wickets, an economy of 8.5. A strike rate about high 15s.
High 15s?
Yeah, like 15.4.
I thought 15.9 as
something like that. 15.8 or something like that.
The strike rate is okay, but the
who's the
economy
last
rate is
player Indian player to get?
So what do teams see him?
Who's the last Indian player to get man of the match?
Bro, it is just that thing. You don't have many players like him in the country who bats and bowls. As simple as that.
So yeah, it's a rare breed. So Shivam Mavi.
Who was the Indian player to get a?
I mean, अगर मेरे घर वालों ने मुझे कोटा नहीं भेजा होता तो मैं भी बैटिंग और bowling दोनों किया कर who knows.
Sorry, Saket, Shubh's cracking some jokes. I missed that.
ये कोटा वाली तुम्हारी स्टोरी ऐसी मेरे को बड़ा दुख होता है वो सुन के.
Yeah, so like if Mavi gets the man of the match as expected, like who was the last Indian player to get a man of the match in debut in T20Is?
I
Was
know
Deepak
this.
Huda's 100 at Ireland was his debut? Or did he play before that?
No, I think he played before that. That's a very good question for the stats man, Anirudh, who can probably conjure up something quickly and tell us the last Indian player to get a man of the match on T20 debut. I know it's like a rare accolade, but I'm sure it's been done before. But a good observation there made by Sanket. Four for
दिनेश कार्तिक
Dinesh. Oh yeah, Dinesh Karthik.
वो पूरी टीम का पहला मैच था.
Dinesh Karthik, actually. That's a very good
वो
shout.
तो पूरी टीम
So
का
that
डेब्यू
was
था.
first ever.
But he got the man of the match, didn't he?
He did, but he might not be the last Indian guy to
Oh,
do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
He's the first though,
First,
but he
for
may
sure.
not be the last one. मेरे को जो पता था मैंने बता दिया.
Yeah, I mean the straightforward one. Okay, so what is he going to get 5 for on debut? That's a joke.
No, I think he's bowled out.
No, he has 2
Yeah.
more balls, 1 more ball. कुछ तो है उसके पास.
कुछ तो है.
one ball है, one
कुछ तो
ball है.
उसके पास.
And Karatne is on strike, and he plays it away.
Ah.
So he'll take that all day long. 4 for 22 from his 4. Didn't get the chance to impress with the bat because, like Shub said, he could. But yeah. Oh, and we have stats man Ani. Ani, any records that Shivam Mavi has broke? Talk to me.
So yeah, not many, but he just became the third bowler to have a 4-wicket haul on debut. So Pragyan
For
Ojha was
India
the first
or overall?
on debut.
For
Okay.
India.
Yes, for India. Pragyan
Okay.
Ojha on his debut in 2009, 4 for 21, and Barinder Saran, not Saran,
Sran.
against Zimbabwe in 2016, 4 for 10, and Shivam Mavi now 4 for 22. And
4 for
to the
10.
question which you asked, the last player to bag a man of the match on debut for India was Ravi Bishnoi,
Oh,
Vishnu,
good old
yeah,
Ravi.
2022 against West Indies.
Good old Ravi, not Ravi
Quite
Shastri.
recent.
Oh.
So
Yeah, so Shivam Mavi, well done. Well
since
done.
2021, Ishan Kishan, Harshal Patel, Ravi Bishnoi. Ravi Bishnoi, yeah.
So
Oh,
These
three
like
players
it's
who have won
lot
the
more
player
common
of the
than I
match
thought.
award on their debut, right?
Yeah,
Also,
exactly.
Ani, just tell me, because all our wickets today we've got through pace. Has that happened before in a T20 international in
That's
India?
a good one. I don't know. I don't remember.
I guess somewhere. I think recently we had one match where all 10 wickets fell to Pacers. I remember that. Uh, I,
Was it the T20 at Kerala where South Africa against India?
Yeah, I
okay,
think that's a
so
good shout, Sanket. I
9
think,
for 5. South Africa were 9 for 5.
yeah, they were 9 for 5. Who supports South Africa in office?
I don't
So
know.
in
कहाँ
okay, West Indies this year also they like in India the highest is 9, which has happened twice. Once against
Oh.
Bangladesh in Nagpur, and the other one coming against West Indies in Eden Garden.
Interesting. Very
That is
interesting.
one. So
Is the
that
umpire
is
given no
9.
ball there?
Oh, yeah, what is the umpire doing then? It's a good spot for Shub. I think it might be a free hit. Or is he called for waist height? Because
I don't think it was waist high though, but
Yeah, he's given a
it
free
is.
hit,
It's a
dude.
free hit. Just imagine if Karuna Ratne was run out on this,
Yeah,
not able to face the free hit. He would have
K.
been mad.
Ananta Padmanabhan. That's the man, the tongue twister umpire. He has given a free hit. Now it's still technically on. They'll need
I think
Karatne to like produce a world.
has any player been run out of no ball?
Hey, how can this
which
be
was
a no
actually
ball?
How
turned
is
out to
this
be
a
free
no
hit?
ball and he's standing out of his crease?
It was not a
How was
no
that a
ball.
no
That
ball?
is exactly what I was saying. It did not seem too high.
That's a joke, lads. That's a fucking joke. But anyway, a little bit of a hope for Sri Lanka. A free hit, Karatne. Remember the KKR bench warmer that he is. He's
was.
hoiked it and he's coming back
Hey.
hopefully for 2. He's never going to get it.
And I think like I had just mentioned in one of the in one of our tweets. So Harshal Patel, in his first 12 innings, so he had picked up 11 wickets at an economy of 8.3. Sorry, 8.1. 18 wickets, the economy of 8.1, average of 18.6, and strike rate of 13.7. Or in the last 12 innings, he has picked up only 11. Average is 38.1 and economy of 10.2 and strike rate of 22.7.
Fuck, that's insane. The strike rate is baffling, but the
Become-
average is even more.
He has become
woeful,
quite.
bro.
He has
30?
become quite predictable with his slower ones and stuff. And the X factor in his bowling used to be that depth. I mean, that
Yeah.
depth was actually baffling. I used to watch, and watch on TV, and I would think that how can a batter counter depth?
Correct.
Because batters have found some ways to counter the Yorker by playing the ramp shots. They have
Standing
found a
outside the
way.
crease.
Yeah, all those things. They have found ways to counter slower ones as well. But how do you counter depth?
Correct.
At that time, I used to think that okay, Harshal Patel could be the next big thing for India, but instead he has lost that depth completely. So I don't know
No,
what
it's a good
happened.
point you mentioned there, because like even if you talk about in the history of IPL, the two bowlers who mastered a great dip was Malinga and Bravo. Like those dips that they generated was just so hard.
I mean,
to
they
kinda gauge.
almost feel like they have stopped the ball in the air for a second.
Yeah.
That's it, and then they can change the trajectory of the ball by themselves accordingly. But
Yeah.
it does not happen anymore for.
And maybe
Harshal
it's just a
Patel.
confidence thing for Harshal to
I don't
finally
know.
just dip back.
It could be a technical thing as well as a confidence thing. I don't know enough about bowling to to tell you about what generates the dip itself. So I won't be able to tell you why there is a lack of it from Harshal
Correct.
Patel. But it is a very interesting
just want
topic, and I would
like-
like to know more about it.
Maybe it's just angles and release points.
Yeah,
I just
it's
want to
Sanket
ask,
has-
like,
Yeah,
is
Sanket.
there any correlation? Is there any correlation between the amount of dip you're getting and
One
the surface
second, hold on.
and the
Sorry,
amount of grip?
Sanket, because it's 6
This
more.
match is still not over.
It's still not over, guys. 15 of 8. We're just ambling across in this last remainders of the Watchalong, but it's going to be tense and
Another-
tight.
I'm not even watching this
Okay, Anirudh's there, and I just want Anirudh to check how many times has Harshal gone for more than 9 runs, more than 9 and over, while playing for India. I think his India economy rate is anyway over 9, and I think this might be the 10th instance, if I'm not wrong, or probably more, where he's conceded more than 9 runs per over.
1 second. I know
My
we
guess
spoke
would be
about
more than
Hardik
80% of the times.
Pandya, the captain, guys, but he's just lost his shit with
Oh,
Harshal
gone
right now.
kya? Nahi.
He's just lost his shit with Harshal saying, "Why are you bowling short? Why?" And Harshal
Harshal
saying,
was also shot.
Relax, I got this. 14 of 7, Hardik to bowl the last over, you feel? Subhash Chandra has asked. He's bowled 3 overs, none for 12, so
He can't
it's a
bowl
good
the last
shout.
over. You don't know the kind of personality he is as a captain. He
Yeah.
likes it to take the pressure on himself.
So 1 second, Harshal is done, obviously can't bowl the last over. Umran has one?
No,
Does
no,
Umran
he's
have one?
done. He's done. He's done.
Imran is done. So
It's either
only Hardik's
after
chance.
Hardik or one of the
Hardik will bowl the
spinners.
next.
Oh my god, Hardik has to pull it out of the fire, lads. Harshal's
And
gone for
Chamika
40.
Karunaratne is a massive fan of Hardik Pandya. I remember last time that when India went to Sri Lanka, he gifted Karunaratne his bat. So, I mean, that is a good connection. And who
Chamika hitting
knows-
with Hardik's bat.
Yeah, exactly. That is what I was just about to say. Who knows that Karunaratne is batting with the same bat?
Yeah, good
okay,
observation. So bad, Yeah,
Okay,
Anirudh.
to answer Gurkirat's question, so this is the 11th instance where he has conceded 9, out of which 9 times he has conceded more than 10.5.
So I wasn't too far off when I said it's probably the 10th instance.
Yeah, man.
So
seriously.
9 times he has conceded over 10.5.
That is why Gurkirat was close.
Oh, 1 second. He's thrown the ball to Akshar Patel. He's thrown the ball to Akshar Patel.
I think that's a
Mazal
good
hai.
call.
I think I like this
No,
call.
I think that's a good call.
Okay,
Yes.
because it's two right-handers
I think
and they're going to heave ho anyway.
I think Chamika Karunaratne is a better hitter of medium pace than he is of even though Hardik is probably quicker than medium pace, but I think you got a better chance with spin against him. And I don't think they had a lot of confidence in Chahal. So I think Akshar Patel becomes the default option.
Can
My
you
assessment of-
can Anirudh bring up Karunaratne's numbers against spin?
Player of the match goes to Karunaratne. Could be
Wide ball. Oh my god, Akshar Patel doing a Mohammad Nawaz.
Yeah, exactly. He was expecting the batter to make room, and so he bowled down the leg side, and Rajita did an Ashwin.
Bro, it's a joke. Once again, 12 of 6 here. Now, all of a sudden, in the last 3 hours, 42 minutes, 56 seconds, I've never felt as nervous. And suddenly, as an Indian fan, I'm just like, what do you mean, dude? We can't lose to Sri Lanka again.
But what if this defeat helps India more than a win?
Yeah, sure. We can look at it in hindsight and be like, you win some and learn some.
I'll take this defeat if India drop Chahal.
Yeah, it's a good one to think about. So now it's a battle, guys. Karuratne against Akshar. Ani, what's the numbers looking like?
Question, I think.
So, in 12 innings, he has a strike rate of 74.2 against spinners.
Okay, that's not very enterprising from a Sri Lankan point
But
of view.
Karunaratne's modus operandi of power
Against-
hitting is to hit the pacers in the onside. That's all his power hitting game that is. But if the ball is in slot, he will hit the ball far, far, far back over the cow.
Okay, let's see what happens. 11 of 5, guys. Get us in the comments below and tell us. And Sarkit, sure, you can tell us as well. Sorry, I've been cutting you off.
Sri Lanka is going to
It's,
win this.
uh,
Oh,
Just no,
buddy,
I was
it's not a
actually
wide.
just checking.
It's not a wide. It's a silly leave.
नहीं है भाई वाइड क्यों शौक तुझे पता है वाइड
It's an office Premier League leave, that. How often does Harshal Patel fail to close out games, starts pulling no balls and wides? Let's not go there yet, SBM. We'll hope that
He's
his
an
Guju
RCB
brother,
merchant.
in terms of Akshar Patel, saves his bacon. 11 of 4. Let us know in the comments below if you guys think it's still India's game or you think Sri Lanka will get into it. He swung away! He swung away for 6! He swung away for 6. Can you believe it? 5 of 3. What a way to start 2023, chappers. Because we can talk about these bilateral series not having enough oomph. But obviously, it's a great advertisement for T20 cricket once again, Gulkira. 5 of 3, but.
So
Are
I
you
was
nervous?
actually just
Are you
checking.
nervous in your little
Karunaratne.
jacket in the Delhi weather? Come on.
It's 5 degrees at the moment. It's gone down.
Bro, Akshar was not a right choice to bowl right now. Hardik should have just done it.
I've just opened up the numbers myself as well. Against left-arm orthodox in T20s, Chamika Karunaratne has a strike rate of 52.8.
Whoa.
But do you
Yes.
think he was going to bowl
And
like a
against
left
leg
arm
spin, it is
spinner now?
36.
Oh, they're
That's
all
actually a good
debating.
question.
Subhash Chandra Bhatta going to say if India loses, will Hardik get criticized for his captaincy? No chance.
He should not actually.
He shouldn't because he's
though
got pretty
I
much everything
feel
right.
Hardik should have bowled this over.
Except that.
Except that, but yeah, again, you win some, you lose some, you have to take bold calls. He did one, and this is not a very high significant game. So if you lose, I mean, you should have a heart big enough to lose as well. You won't win every game.
And should we give credit to Sri Lanka here because they're Asian champions and all of that fluff, but also the fact that they've eked their way. Oh, again, he's left! He's left it! Oh!
What a fight.
It's honestly...
Dude, bat.
So, so basically, this over so far, at least the last 3 balls, has been brain fade, 6, brain fade. Literally. 5 of 2, it's going to be a super over.
brain fade from one side, at least.
It's
per
going to be a
ball.
super over, maybe in the first ever time in CDC.
Look at this.
Watchalong
His eyes.
history.
He's looking at the ball going under the line. And
There
he
is a
still
super
looking for a
over which
wide.
beckons. Come on, or India win. Akshar Patel, 5 of 2. What's going to happen? Fires one in. They have to run 2 to get Karuratne back
Not a
on.
two, nahi hoga,
The
do
throw
nahi.
in comes. Oh, it's out. But he, of course, remains in strike. Does Karuratne in this 4 required in the last ball? I mean, this is the drama that we all need. The drama. And all you guys look like completely bored. I don't know why.
So man of the match still goes to Shivam Mavi or
Yeah, exactly. The man of the match now is debatable, chaps. It's not so straightforward anymore.
and what if Sri Lanka win? Oh, I mean, does Mavi still get the man
No,
of the match?
Sharaka.
By the way,
45 is essential.
so this will be Sri Lanka's first win since 2016 in India in T20Is.
Yeah, that's madness. That's absolute madness.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Throw should have been at the keeper's end, isn't it? Yeah, for sure, man. But
But I think from his from where the fielder was, I think the non-striker's end was closer, and he took the safe call.
and plus, Karuratne had already kind of taken a head start after he hit that shot. So, look, it comes down to him. One thing is guaranteed for sure. If Karuratne hits the winning runs, expect a mad effing celebration. I'm not even joking, guys. You know it is going to be peak Karuratne vibes if he
What
gets
is
the
the
runs.
peak Karunaratne vibe? Has anyone seen it?
Yeah, for sure. Remember when he took the piss out of
That
Bangladesh?
was
in the
because they had a
last
history
game?
with
And generally, he's a
Wasn't
very
that a short
pumped up
run?
character.
But yeah, he's a pumped up guy, and we saw that when Sri Lanka defeated Australia in that
Exactly.
series.
And a good point mentioned by Pranav over there. India scored 13-2 in the last over, so it's obviously been nip and tuck. It's been going down to the wire. 159 for 9,
But did he
19.5.
touch this one?
Woo! This
By
is
the
a
way,
good
did he
game.
touch the popping crease over there? A replay, it felt like he was away. He was away
Overlapping.
from the crease
This is
over
why I
there.
love these long
Just
charts.
show it to them. Download the cricket.com app. Honestly, for this, look at the worm.
The
Look at
overlapping on the
worm.
19th over, totally overlapping.
Okay,
How
guys,
much-
predictions.
Hey, how
4
much did India
runs,
score
1
on that last
ball.
ball?
What's going to happen? Where the hell is Som? I don't know if he's watching this.
Hey, how
think
much did
Hardik
India
will get-
score in the last ball?
I think
It's
Hardik will get.
ridiculous.
I think Akshar will get a wicket on a Yorker.
How much did India score in their last ball? Does anyone remember? Did we end with a final flourish?
1 or 2 runs. I'm not sure.
1 or 2 runs. Akshar Patel around the
Not a
wicket.
boundary.
They have to run to it. Doesn't
that
matter. India win by just 2 runs. By just 2 runs to get the new year off and running. And Mumbai are elated. The Wankhede, that is. India win. Greg's happy in the comments. I think Sanket is happy. Anirudh's happy. Gurkirat's happy. Shubh's
Akshar
happy. I'm
Patel is
happy. It's a happy new year, lads, isn't it?
How it is
But
happy.
honestly, before we wind up and wrap proceedings on this watch along,
Harshal Patel is not happy, by the way.
What was the turning point, gents? What was the turning point in this first T20 international? Gurkirat, we'll start with you.
I think Shanaka's wicket probably.
Okay,
if
Shanaka's
not
wicket.
if not for Shanaka getting dismissed, or maybe even Rajapaksa, one of them batting till the end, and this would have been over by the 19th over.
Okay, I think it goes back to the first innings because India got psychologically over that 160. I think Sri Lanka were always in the game, don't get me wrong, but that Hooda knock was huge.
For me, the game-changing point is Karuna Ratne leaving those 2 balls, looking for wide. I mean, they were not wide; they were well inside the line, man. Come on, and both balls were quite full as well. I don't know what the field was, but he could have tried to hit those balls over cover.
I'll tell you what, I think you're absolutely right. I don't know how that just skipped
said
my
it for
mind.
fun's sake,
But
though,
actually, no, you're right. Because those 2 balls,
2 balls.
people won't look at it in the
Not-
highlights.
Exactly, not 1 ball.
No, 1 ball, 2.
Did it twice in the last.
And you know, the cheekiness of him was leaving the second one and thinking, yeah, he's got a wide for sure.
He
And
was
I'm
like, this is
no
an obvious
chance.
wide, dude. This is obviously not a wide.
Not a wide at all. Okay, Sanket and Anirudh, then we'll wrap proceedings up. Turning point for you, Sanket, for India's 2-run win.
Yeah, I would say actually, like, obviously the Shanaka wicket was the big one, but I think even in the last over, I think the decision to bowl Akshar over Hardik was actually quite a good one, because I think looking at Karuna Ratne's numbers against pace, and I think at 1KD with the short boundaries, I think Chamika Karuna Ratne would have fancied Hardik Pandya, because he's actually quite decent. His numbers even against high pace are quite good, and I think
Yeah, so you put that
13
down
runs for
to
the
Hardik's
last over.
tactical awareness, maybe, and plus points for Hardik's captaincy. So,
Yeah, I mean,
all in all,
I think he deserves credit for that, because I think conventionally, I think most captains would have gone with a fast
It was
bowler.
a bold call in any case.
And
No,
I think
absolutely,
especially
yeah.
knowing Hardik, he thought that he would want to take on the responsibility himself. But I think it was quite smart on his part. Like, he was pragmatic enough to let the guy who was better equipped for the job do it.
yeah, and to be fair on you and Gurkirat, both you guys backed that Akshar call before the over started. So it's not like you guys are saying it in hindsight. So well done, Sanket and Gurkirat. A stats man, Ani, turning point to you. Any numbers to, of course, back that argument?
I would say Umran's over. The one which produced Shanaka's wicket. That is obviously the turning point, because Harshal Patel is going to go for runs irrespective of who the batter is. But at that point of time, Shanaka's wicket was very important, especially with one more over of Harshal. Yes, obviously that was a very important turning point.
Look, I love the fact that we've all gone for different turning points, and that's what makes cricket so compelling at times. Shubh went for the 2 leaves as turning points, and I think he's absolutely bang on. And I, of course, agree with the gents as well who said Shanakar's wicket was a turning point. If you guys agree with me in terms of Deepak Huda's final flourish making the difference, let me know in the comments below. But really appreciate all you guys joining us in this first watch along of 2023. It's been sensational. India win by 2 runs. We always love a close contest. And of course, we appreciate all you guys in terms of the comments. Thanks, Gurkira. Thanks, Sanket, for making your presence felt. And of course, thanks, Shubh, for, of course, making a quick dash into the office in the evening on a last-minute call. We also, of course, will tell you guys about Som, who was with us as well. But join us on Thursday, where we'll do the second T20 International. Hopefully, it's closer than this. Maybe a 1-run win. Or maybe a super over. Who knows? But look, all you guys watching that, subscribe, like this video, please. We're trying to get places. 2023 is a year to remember cricket.com. Remember the name, as Ian Bishop said. I need a glass of water, and definitely something to think about. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.
Cut it, Shaunak.